Hi, I'm Tori, the best host over at the Red Leaf Retrocast Anime Edition, your best location to learn and relive the past to the present. And you can find our cast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and all your favorite podcasting sites. Also, don't forget to support your favorite host and all his crazy ideas. I mean me. And now, onto the cast.
And welcome to episode 53 of the Red Leaf Retrocast. I'm your host, JD. This is the anime cast titled Night on the Galactic Railroad and Spring Reviews 2019. Yes, our agenda here, we got our Manhwa checkout featuring Real, a manga from 1999. We got 10 shows to review from the spring 2019 season, and we're reviewing Night on the Galactic Railroad. We're joined by a special guest, Yata, fellow anime radical and host of his own podcast. Who are you, what are you about, and welcome.
I am Yata from the Reanimator Podcast, and I am also a radical. I decided to come here today to add a little bit more international flavor to this already international cocktail we have going on here.
So the question is, are you from Asia? We're not, we seem to be lacking on that side of the continent world.
I am from Ireland, but I'm currently sitting in a
lame.
apartment. Well, I'm sitting in an apartment in Asia, if that's any consolation.
Close
That
enough.
is fine.
It's like close,
Well,
but
we're
not
joined
quite.
also by a fellow Mexican, Hickey. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing fine. Had some trouble with some wood yesterday, but no, it's just everything is fine.
You should get that checked by a doctor.
Yeah, say the older you get,
not
the worse
not
that
that
gets.
kind of wood. I had to carve and sand some actual wood because I fucked up and took some wrong measurements. Yeah.
Well, you gotta measure by the base of the shaft first, always. You know,
Yeah. it's
centimeters
true.
makes it seems like it's bigger.
I mean, I don't need to. It doesn't really matter when you have 17 centimeters of.
Ah, well, okay.
So
Right you
know,
are.
For me, it doesn't really matter the scale I'm using.
Tori, how you doing all the way from the Norway?
I'm doing good. I had a barbecue yesterday for the first time in 2 years. That was nice.
Ah.
Yeah, last year. We didn't get to do one last year because my government banned barbecuing last year because of fire hazards.
What?
I know, right? Because it
That's
was
random. That's awfully specific.
because it's when it's summer, it can get really dry, and there's a danger of stuff catching on fire. So they just decided, you know what would be really cool if we just ban all kinds of barbecuing because open flame, dangerous. Don't do that.
Just Norway government just bans fire. Like,
Oh yeah, they would do that in a heartbeat if they could. No, it's dumb. So, but at least they didn't do it this year. So we were just like, quick, start up the barbecue before they fucking issue a ban again.
I guess propane sales are gonna go way down.
Oh yeah, propane sales, fucking grills, one-time usage grills especially have crashed. So
Wow.
yeah.
I guess you'll all be moving to the George Foreman grill.
Okay,
No? Do you not know what that is?
move on.
Oh, come on. I thought I was onto something with that. Yata, you know what a George Foreman grill is, right?
I am aware of its existence. I do not own one, but I wish I did.
You see, Tori, the George Foreman grill, the grease falls right off the side.
It is a lean, mean grilling machine, I do believe.
See? Yata knows what it's all about.
I've seen the infomercials. I'm aware of its existence.
Why are we
My
not
dad
moving
got
on?
Because it's the George Foreman grill and every household needs one.
No, we have like 3 fucking grills. We don't need more.
Well, you have to get rid of them before the government comes and finds your ass.
That's right.
Okay. Yata, we kind of skipped over you for other things. So you're from Ireland, you live in Asia, You're part of the Reanimator Podcast and the Anime Radicals. How did you tell us a little bit about your podcast? How'd you come to be it? And how you came into the Anime Radicals?
This is a saga as old as time itself, I guess. We started out as a Magic the Gathering podcast, never took off the ground because, I don't know, it wasn't happening. Decided to pivot into anime about 2 years ago before release, and we are approaching our second anniversary. We do weekly podcasts. They tend to come out on Mondays unless I've shirked my responsibilities, and then they come out on Tuesday. I think we're pretty good. You know, my mom thinks so anyway. I saw her for the first time today in 2 years, so you know.
Oh wow!
She said it sounded professional, so I'll take it. You know, when you have no other compliments, at least you can say the audio sounds good, right?
Well, of course, yes. Everyone prides themselves on good audio. Yes, sure. Of course.
This is a bit of a new experience for me, going back in the way back machines, and you know, uncovering some old anime, because we tend to do a little bit more current stuff. I think we've only dipped into the 80s once with Bubblegum Crisis, and it was fun. So I'm happy to return there with Night on the Galactic Railroad. I keep on wanting to say Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and it's definitely not that.
Close enough.
Yeah, I joined the Radicals a little bit before you guys, so I guess I have seniority. Brains approached me at some point when they were workshopping the network. Sounded fun. Sounded like it was going to be really active and exciting. Neither of which it is, but hopefully when everyone gets their shit together, it's going to be there's going to be a lot more podcasts coming out in the near future. I enjoy working with all of those guys. I actually really enjoy all of the podcasts. There's a lot to keep up with, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far. Hopefully this is the first time we've actually got to do anything together, but hopefully in the future we'll get to compare some anime or do some retro reviews on the Radicals Network together. Other than that, I throw out a few YouTube videos very infrequently. The channel is Reanimator Yata. If anyone at all is interested in checking it out, I would be eternally grateful. And if you guys want to check out the podcast, it's Reanimator Pod, which is a terrible name, I know. We're working at changing it because nobody knows how to spell it. But it's
I don't think it's that hard. Spelling is a worldwide difficulty, apparently.
Well, got to make sure to account for the misspellings as well. That's how you get. That's
the problem. That's where they got. Oh, that's where we fucked up. We went for a misspelling. We thought it was so clever. Reanimator, because Re at the time was quite a popular thing with ReZero in real life, and we thought that would continue forever. Turns out it didn't.
So no way.
Restart.
I'm so
retry
shocked right now. Sorry. Yeah, keep going.
It was a mistake. So we're looking at correcting that in the near future for our second birthday, which is like a month away. Looking forward to it.
Oh, congratulations on the second Annie.
The Terrible 2 is coming up, so hopefully, you know, it's only good times ahead. I think we're past that difficult first stage. You know, those first 6 months when you're just shouting into the abyss and no one ever talks back to you. People have started engaging with us. It's amazing. People start criticizing our shitty opinions on anime and our shallow takes on certain stuff. It's good though. We can just fob it off and blame it on the other guys. I'm
glad everyone agrees with me all the time, especially that one guy from way back. I haven't heard from him again. I'm a bit upset.
You should stop listening to the voices inside of your head. It's not normal.
Shut up.
Excellent banter. Alrighty. So I got back from Vegas, bowled horribly, probably the worst I've done in a tournament in a very long time. And now I'm scheduled to go on a business trip to North Carolina for work. And Mario Maker has been my life over the past couple weeks. What have you guys been up to besides illegally barbecuing in your country, Tori?
Hey, it's not illegal yet.
It is barely legal.
Exactly.
Good enough. You should get this opportunity and start a wildfire.
Whoa. Hecky, do you understand what that would mean? Do you understand Do you understand the fucking consequence? I'm not just talking about legal ramifications. I'm talking about how that would affect not just people or me. There is fucking woods all around.
I am a lawyer.
Everywhere.
I know what that will happen.
If I set a wildfire, my country would burn down.
I thought Norwegians only burned down churches anyway.
That's right.
Ooh.
That's the only thing we do. For some reason, they don't want us to do that. I don't understand.
Okay. You went a little bit far there.
What do you mean? It's part of history.
And burning your own country is not part of your history?
That goes back even further. That's too old. Burning churches is a little bit more recent.
All right. Fair. Let's see. I've been working.
I was indulging in a black metal documentary, and for some reason, the church burnings in Norway and the rest of Scandinavia seem to be a really integral part of that genre.
Oh yeah, black metal documentaries are great though. Getting to hear them from the people of like Gal, Vagvikanes, fucking Dead, the guy who famously killed himself. Excuse the blood.
The guy who killed himself.
Yeah, he considered himself a dead man walking, and then one day he was just like, you know what? It's time to end it. So he did. And then his bandmates, his bandmates found him, and they found his suicide letter, and it was just like excuse the blood. So they did the only natural thing one would do.
Excuse the blood.
Yeah, they did the only natural thing one would do. They took fragments of his skull and made necklaces, and then they took a picture of his body, and they made it their album cover, or for a bootleg album.
Oh, God.
As one does.
As one does. It's very Viking-esque 2019.
I'm not gonna lie, my mind went to that as well. As soon as he said that he found the body, I was assuming, skull necklaces and edgy art covers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All they're missing is the goat to sacrifice.
Right? Oh, they do that all the time. Don't even worry about that.
I guess with a name like Dead, though, you kind of have to live up to it, right? Like, you're naming yourself Dead.
Yep.
Well, we got a whole hell of a lot to talk about here, so let's just get going right away. I'm going to not play a drop right now because it's not ready. Hickey, just take us straight into our Manhwa checkout. Tell the new listeners, if there are any, and inform Yata what it's about.
New listeners, goddamn it, JD.
We get new listeners all the time, Hickey. You shut up.
I mean, nice. I need to believe you. You're the only one looking the statistics. Anyway,
I'll screenshot them later to you if you so want them.
I heard that before. Never got the screenshot. Anyway,
all right, fine. You do this, and I'll screenshot them right now.
This is a segment where me and JD we will highlight a manga, manhwa, or webtoon, whatever that we've seen interesting. And this one is a manga I've been wanting to read for a long time, but I'm just, I don't know, I'm just way too bored to actually pick up something to read. And it's a manga called Rio. It is a manga by Takehito Inoue, the same guy who wrote Slam Dunk. It was released in 1999, and it has right now 14 volumes. The summary JD got from Anime Planet says, Tomomi is a high school dropout who was tragically responsible for crippling a beautiful girl he had just met. Oh, I love that manga. Kyoharu is an ex-drug store whose bone cancer confined him to a wheelchair as a child, and Takahashi is a new handicap due to an accident on his bike, stripping him as captain of a basketball team and his status of a alpha male and his gang of friends. Oh wow. Each of these young men shares something in common, their love for basketball. Though society may look down on them, these new friends will come to terms with themselves and their situations as they show their love of the game. So JD, starting with you, what did you think about this one?
So I didn't have a whole hell of a lot of time, but I did make sure I read the first volume, because I was very curious. Inoue has done Slam Dunk and Vagabond, other two mangas I've been heavily interested in starting, or at least Slam Dunk the anime, Vagabond the manga. I was very interested also that it came out in 1999, and the fact that it's still ongoing. I'm very wondering why that is, and obviously I think it's because Vagabond is also very popular, so he's got to kind of allocate his time appropriately. I'm a basketball player myself. I still occasionally do leagues. I've really stopped over the last year and a half because, as I discovered when I turned 29, my ankles are very crippled from playing basketball my entire life.
Oh, I feel you there, dude. I'm in the exact same boat, and I blame basketball as well.
Well, I made the team in college as a walk-on, and I completely blew it out before I even got to play into my second game. So that was awesome. And then when I turned 29, I took a charge call and went for a loose ball, and the 6'7" Canadian fucking took my ass out and almost ripped my shoulder apart. So I'm like, maybe it's time I probably step back from this and stick to bowling, where it's a lot less taxing on the body. And I can
just get in a wheelchair. You can do it.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So I was not expecting this to be a wheelchair basketball anime, or at least heading in that direction. Very different from my understanding of what Slam Dunk is. So he took kind of his same origin of his Slam Dunk characters, where they're kind of rambunctious, misguided youths, you might say, and finding the commonplace in basketball and their drive for it. So I found that very interesting. I can definitely relate. I know all the references. It's funny reading this and getting all the late 90s, early 2000s top basketball player references, whether it's Jason Kidd, Vince Carter, Kobe Bryant. That's why this main character has the little fro going on, is because he's like, I'm looking for the Kobe look. So
yeah, but no one recognizes him. He just looks like a delinquent.
Yeah. I did like the joke. He goes, well, what happened to your Jason Kidd look? Everyone just thought I looked like a monk. Like, oh, okay. But I'm not really into the main character yet, the guy who's going for the Kobe look. I don't really understand his whole motivations behind his delinquent
a fucking woman.
No, that's not what I'm referencing. It's his overall just I understand his crippling depression and taking responsibility for crippling the girl, and I understand that direction. What I don't understand is why he acts the way he does in school. I got the impression that he's always been that way. He's always been the misguided youth in school, and basketball was like his whole reason for being there. And as soon as he lost his reason to play for the team, he still acts that way at school, and to the point where he even dropped out. Not quite. You see, like later, they kind of explain it. He had like an anger outburst and just beat everyone in the team. You know, that was like the fallout. I saw that part. I just thought he always acted that way, and then he just
wasn't like that, because like
day.
when you get to the first part, like the first few chapters, he's in school and he's already a dropout, so he just goes there and beat up some people very randomly.
Okay. I guess that wasn't exactly clear to me.
Something happened and he had an outburst. That was the fallout. He beat up some people, dropped out. Then he met the girl and had the bike accident.
Yeah, now he's got PTSD of it all. He can't even get on a road anymore. Which it's always a good look. A tragic story is very enticing to read and see how that pans out, how it affects the character's mentality. Deep characters, I'm very much into. I guess I just missed the whole school delinquent thing, but I do like how the other character we meet, who does he have the bone cancer, or does the other kid,
the guy who's already on the wheelchair, he was a sprinter, and he had like bone cancer. It's very sad. I won't say anything, but like his story, they showed it, and it is quite sad. You know, he went to, I think, the national championship, and he was running at the national championship as he bone just became just dust, and he had they had to cut it off, and depression and things like that comes when you lose a leg.
No, everyone loses a limb at some point in their life.
But I think
right?
the other guy, the Takahashi guy, which is he's the basketball team captain.
Yeah, the asshole.
Yeah, his side was like just depression. He even tries to kill himself by getting on a wheelchair and throwing himself out of the building.
I expected something like that from happen. So Takahashi, he basically ostracized a lot of people on the basketball team. Anyone who was related to Tomomi, our fro guy, he just basically kicked them all off or found ways to destroy them mentally so they wouldn't be on the basketball team anymore. So he would have complete control over it. He is an asshole to all the women that like him because I guess that's what, well, okay, in my own experience, that's what women do in high school. And then he steals a bike and then gets into a car accident with the car hits him and then
with truck gun.
Yeah, with
truck
fail
again to make another Isekai protagonist.
But yeah, I was like, okay, so now he's going to be crippled and he's going to pan out into the story and join this wheelchair basketball team. So it's a very interesting premise. I definitely can't say I've read or came across anything like this. Tori, Yata, have you heard anything like this before?
I've known about Real. I've known about Real for a while. I've been meaning to read it as well. I was actually going to read it for this cast, but I actually kind of just completely forgot about it.
Oh, Tori.
So when I saw it on the agenda, I was like, oh shit, right, I was going to read that. I don't know. Like the only real experience I have with Takeko Inoue is Vagabond, which I'm not a fan of. Mostly because I think it's way too slow for what it is. But it looks good. It's really good. So hopefully, Real is a little bit more, not fast paced necessarily, but a little bit less just walking around aimlessly.
Yes, Vagabond.
Yeah, no, I know, but it gets really boring after a while when you're just like, so, now what? Well, I murdered some people. Cool. We're going to walk around here. Okay, cool. Chapter end. Uh-huh. All right.
Uh-huh.
I see.
Yata, how about yourself?
I not much of a manga reader, honestly. Anything that I do read tends to be towards the racier side, and I shouldn't really be reading it, or at least not acknowledging the fact that I read it on a podcast and with my girlfriend in the room right now. So I'm just going to say I don't know much about it. The premise sounds interesting. I love pretty much anything basketball related, and having that twist on it with the wheelchair basketball or murder ball, I think it was referred to in some documentaries I saw on the sport. It looks like a lot of fun. Like I would check it out if I was, anyway inclined about reading manga, but it's just not something that's for me. I'm more of a anime watcher, and that's where it kind of ends.
Yeah.
I get you. I'm the same.
I mean, have you seen Slam Dunk?
I watched Slam Dunk. It's pretty popular here in Taiwan. A lot of guys would play basketball in Slam Dunk shirts or Kurokono basket shirts, and it runs on TV on Animax here, which is an anime network. Pretty much, I think like 3 or 4 times a week. So I watch it mostly in Chinese. Just use it to practice my Chinese. So a lot of it goes over my head. Kurokono Basket is my kind of go-to basketball anime, though.
Kurokono Space Jam.
I want those superpowers. One time, I want that, that awesome, Manu Ginobili style pass in a basketball game, and it never happens. All that happens to me is my ankles get shot to shit. But one day.
Well, I really like the art style. I like the way Inoue does his hash marking, and very distinct looking characters. Everyone looks different from each other. I do like the pace of this. It doesn't mess around. It doesn't mess about. It's very quick to give you the good setting and where everything's heading. You can get a feel for it. It pans out very. It's a good pace, Tori. So
that's good.
Very happy with that. Yeah, and I found it very interesting how it's very empowering to the people that are handicapped in this. I like how Tomomi, because Kiyoharu is better than him at basketball, he refers to the wheelchair as his machine legs, right?
Yeah. I mean, even at the beginning, like when they're going to play, and he's like, he's standing up. Kiyoharu just beats him up. He's like, it's not fair, and then he uses a wheelchair as well.
Yeah, he's like, you have those machine legs. I gotta have mine. And then he takes the girl off her wheelchair. And he goes, we're switching. He goes, why? He goes, well, this wheelchair sucks. Yours is awesome. You're better than me. You get the shitty wheelchair. This is how it becomes as even as possible. I was like, okay, that works. It's kind of like if you're playing a game of horse and you have more. You're the better ball player, so you'll start with basically all the letters. So you just have to miss once. You're just making it even ground, kind of in a certain way. But he refers to the machine legs, and then he compares it to Allen Iverson's crossover, or what was the other one? I think it was. Oh, it was Shaq's body, Allen Iverson's crossover, and then he's got his wheelchair. So he just utilizes his skill. That's his special skill, is the wheelchair. And then we get introduced to a 6'4" dude in a wheelchair, and he's been in Australia, and the first volume doesn't really go much into him other than he's even better. So I'm looking forward to this whole hodgepodge wheelchair team and where Tomomi comes into play. Does he learn how to play in a wheelchair? I imagine he will. So it's an interesting read. I like the pace. I look forward to reading more.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So now I have the drops ready. So we can get into our anime reviews from spring. Hooray!
Huzzah!
Yay.
Woo! Come on, energy, boys, energy.
Are you new to anime? Do you have hard-hitting questions? Well, what do you think happens when you mix war and anime together?
He is funny, right? Because he is just fucking... he is the guy that you wonder how he managed to get into the military. Because, I mean, you don't know anything about him, really.
Don't ask, don't tell, Tori. Duh.
Yep. He just kind of walks up to people and slaps them on the ass and then go, hey.
Hey, good game. Good war, right?
Shouldn't you do something and go out there and risk my life? Nah.
You expect me to fight this war and slap someone's ass? I don't think so.
I'll take care of everyone when they come back. Real good. Yeah, nah.
Well, I guess you can find humor just about anywhere. You are listening to the Red Leaf Retrocast, found on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and the podcast is located on all your favorite outlets, iTunes, Stitcher, and more. And now, back to the show.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Okay. Spring 2019 anime reviews. Nice and quick. We have 10 to go through that all ended, at least, in the spring 2019. Tori's got 3, Hickey's got 3, I got 3, Yata's got 2, and then we have one special one that I'm sure the wide audience also likes. So, Tori, why don't you hit it? Why don't you start us off?
All right. So, the first anime I'm going to be talking about from spring was the short anime called Isekai Quartet. Because, yes, I did in fact watch that. It's by Studio Puyukai and directed by Minoru Ashina. The synopsis is just real quickly. A mysterious switch appeared one day. Upon pressing it, they were sent to a different alternative world. There are also characters from other alternative worlds gathered together. So basically, this is a parody anime combining Overlord, Konosuba, Saga of Tanya the Evil, and ReZero. So some of the more popular Isekai anime. And it's generally just them gathered in a classroom and then taking the piss out of Isekai in general and these respective series as they put them together. So, nothing really much to say. Short gag. It's going to get a second season, so curious to see what new Isekai will be in that one. And, yeah, it was fun. If you like these shows, preferably all of them. Well, because, you should know all of them if you want to get anything out of it. If you don't know any of these series, you're really not gonna get anything here.
Yeah, it really felt like In Joke the anime.
Oh yeah, it is. It is entirely in joke. Not even just in respects to the anime. There are fucking in jokes that you would only get from the fucking light novels. There are but nah, it's a fun ride. I enjoyed it.
Poor Yu. What would Keanu Reeves do when he see Yu sitting there? It's a dumb joke. Dumb video, just remember. Yeah, very fun anime. Can't wait for the second season and see who is joining the Isekai of Isekai worlds.
The threads are long for that one. I've seen so many people speculating on what the next, like the 7 chairs are going to be filled by.
Yeah,
and it's been like I've heard literally the most like arbitrary.
You just need to go to the publisher and see which series they published. So I guess you can rule out a bunch of things.
I think
unfortunately I don't remember who it is. I know it's a Kadokawa related publisher.
Yeah. I think Shield Hero is the one that's getting a lot of people are speculating on Shield Hero.
That is the one that a lot of people are hoping for, yes, because it is the new kid on the block. But I mean, I guess we'll see, right? Obviously, it's going to be more popular series. It's not. So, Jada, I'm sorry, but I don't think Dumbine is going to make it in.
Just fell short.
Yeah, it's like it's just like maybe like a year too old, like kind of just outside the target range.
Damn, might have been interested in it then.
God, if its smartphone makes in, oh my god,
it would actually be funny though if Dumbine actually did make it in.
Just random fairies busting about the classroom.
Just like, yo, bitch, Daddy's here.
Who brought the mech? What kind of Isekai is this shit?
I guess it would be the grandpa. Still.
Hickey, you're up.
All right. Let's see. Let's start with the first one that's there. And it is Tatano Yusha no Nariagari. Look! The one for the next season of Isekai Quartet. Is it going to change names, by the way? Because, it's Isekai Quartet because there were 4 Isekai, but no, there will be more. We'll just change the name. Anyway. Or The Rising of the Shield Hero. Basically, I won't read the synopsis. I honestly don't think I need it. We follow a guy called Iwatani Naofumi, and he was just isekai'd. He was transferred to another world to fight as a hero, and he's the shield hero, meaning he doesn't have any kind of special offensive abilities. He's a defensive, focused hero, and he was summoned with another 3 heroes: the spear hero, the sword hero, and the arc hero. But they are all retarded. Basically, he gets betrayed by the country, and then you have this story of redemption and revenge, as well, with a subplot of saving this world that he actually hates because everyone betrays him. That goes until episode 20? Yeah, until episode 20, and then on episode 25, 20 to 25, we are introduced to the second arc, where we see only the beginning, with other heroes appearing and saying we need to kill you guys so we can save our own world. Just a little fight that was cut it off a lot. Some different things happening in the end of the anime compared to the light novel and manga, but that's about it.
I love how it's like they didn't even fucking come there to kill everyone. They literally just came there to kill Naofumi. They didn't give a shit about the others.
Oh my god, the other 3 heroes are as useless as Aqua. Holy shit! Like, oh my god, it's so dumb. I guess because they are the isekai characters basically, and Naofumi isn't. He always say that like they are treating this like a game and they are overpowered. Where he's like, we need to train, we need to learn how to communicate. and other things. Those guys are not doing that. They're just open command windows and doing special abilities. So I just a little kick from the Isekai genre. Yeah, I mean, it was fun until the end. Of course, a lot of people have problem with it because it's slow. Sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense. It is painfully normal. But yeah, I liked it until the end. Of course, I already knew the story because I've been reading the light novel. But yeah, really good. It has an 8.18 on my anime list.
That is
too high.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, I like Shield Hero. It's a fun show. But the problem with it is kind of, like you said, it's the ending, right? I like the hero being betrayed by everyone. Nobody wants to believe him, and he kind of, breaks down a little bit and does some questionable shit, and then eventually tries to kind of, I was about to say, fight for his own right. He doesn't really ever do that. He kind of just eventually gets it handed to him, which is a little bit disappointing, but his redemption gets kind of handed to him. But it is what it is. But then it's like, the second part after that, like you said, Hickey, that's where it, in my opinion, kind of falls through, because we get into this point where it's like we start to finally realize just how useless these other heroes are, because literally, so far they have not even appeared to be stronger than the people they're trying to protect. They look more capable of defending themselves than these heroes do. So that's a problem. Other than that, it's like the general tone has changed, in which it's gone from nobody or everybody being wrong about this one guy to basically being Naofumi is always right and everyone else is a retard. Which I don't
is actually
like.
True.
I know, but I don't like this type of story. True. It's like, that is so pointless.
Like, if you remember when we talked off podcast, I always said, especially when JD was still watching this show, I was like, yeah, it is painfully normal.
I dropped that shit so fast.
You have the tropes, like you have the raccoon girl, Raftalia, which everyone is crazy about. You have the lolly character, but every single one has its own spin on it. That ends with the revenge story. After that, especially like you said, you need to stay with the other heroes who are just retarded. Like, they are so fucking useless.
Can we just appreciate the fact that one of them literally kicked one of the fucking people out of their party because they outshone them in the fucking final fight there? Like,
oh yeah,
how fucking, oh my god.
Like, it gets worse because, like, in the light novel, she's very shy, so she goes around with wearing like kigurumis. So it is kind of dumb. It is kind of when, of course, that wasn't shown yet, but in Konosuba, between volume 8 and volume 12, it hits such a low phase when it was just the author doing what he wanted to do and listening to the fans. So it is just shitty. There's a whole volume of Konosuba, I think it's volume 11, of 500 pages of Kazuma just trying to get a little sister character to it, and then you have the princess, and I think it's just like that. It is the lowest part of Shield Hero, right after that the revenge story ends. But yeah, aside that, it is still a fun show, and they finish it, I think, okay. Giving Naofumi some land so he can make his own country where he can be always right.
Yeah.
The show lost me really early with everything that made it interesting at the beginning just went away too quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And then it just as you said, normalized from there. And I was like, okay, all the reasons why I was watching it. The Hot Spring episode definitely just put me over the edge.
How about you, Yata? Did you like it? Have you watched it?
We are obliged, because of a reviewer, to review this later on in the year. So rather than subject myself to watching it twice, I decided to just skip it for the season and watch it later on. Yeah. Everything I've heard has been overwhelmingly meh. and you guys have reinforced that for me. So I'm really excited to hop into this one.
Hooray! I mean, it is fun. It's still fun.
I
Yeah, it's not the worst
I did
Isekai
perk
you
up
watch.
on Raccoon Lolly. I'm not gonna lie.
Like it's like everything in this season. It is painfully normal.
It's not smartphone.
Yeah. No.
You know what, Tori? You're absolutely right.
Look, once you've seen hell, everything is good. Everything is great. I've watched so many shit in my life that everything is a masterpiece. Of course, I don't put a bunch of 10s in my anime list, but still. Next one, JD. Go.
All right. So, technically, JoJo Part 5, Golden Wind, still has 2 episodes left. It's been delayed. Is that correct, Tori?
Yeah, they're gonna release them both in the same week, so they decided to just say fuck it.
Anyways, no matter what happens in the last 2 episodes, my opinion of the anime won't change. It's JoJo. I've seen 4 series before it, so I imagine good guy wins. And even if bad guy wins, that's okay too. So, JoJo Part 5, Golden Wind, follows Giorno Giovanna. He lives in Naples and is the son of Dio, but the show never really goes into that at all.
He's technically not the son of Dio.
Technically.
That's fine.
Yeah. Basically, when he was young, he was oppressed, and one day he's saved by a gang member called Bucciarati. So there's a lot of Italian names in this. It takes place in Italy, so it makes sense.
Foreshadowing for later on.
Yeah. So he ends up joining this gang, and you meet the group that's around Bucciarati. One member kind of disappears fairly early in the show. He doesn't die. He can't join them on their little journey. The whole goal is to find the boss of the mob that they're a part of, and take him out to clean up the streets of Italy, more or less. He's a big mafia boss. No one knows who he is, where he comes from, what his origin is. So that's the journey, and very much like the journey of not Diamond is Unbreakable, the Stardust Crusaders. Much like the journey of Stardust Crusaders to Egypt to take out Dio, they as they fight various enemies and duos that Dio sends their way. In this way, it's the mafia boss sending guys and duos their way to stop them on their journey. So it's the exact same premise for this one. And what it lacks to me is it's just the journey to get to point B from point A. Yeah, they slowly find a clue. They end up acquiring, I guess, the supposed daughter of the mafia boss, and that's their clue. But it's it's a very small clue, and she just kind of stands there the whole time. Their whole objective is to protect her. And as the series gets to the end, as you find out who this mafia boss is, it's very strange. It's very JoJo-esque, you might say. And the story just lacks. What I really liked about the very first JoJo series is you had the origin story of the character, you had their motivations, and then you still had your point A to point B moments, but it was just a better story overall. And even in Stardust Crusaders, I thought there was more to the story, right? JoJo Part 5 just lacks that fleshed out story. It's just, here's the mafia boss. You get a little background on each of the 5 characters, but it's not much. I was really hoping for more. You would find out more about Giorno Giovanna. It's definitely setting up for more upon him and how it's going to tie into characters of the past. Overall, it's just more or less an action show. It's very okay. I definitely like it a lot more than Diamond is Unbreakable. That was part 4. So, yeah. Overall, it's okay. I think it's definitely one of the weaker JoJo shows I've ever seen, but it's not the worst.
That is where you and me disagree completely. I actually really dislike Part 5. I think it is by far the worst show they've ever released.
I'm not giving it high praise by any means.
No, I know, but I am way more negative. Worse than Part 1. No, I really dislike Part 5. I think Part 5 has been kind of a mess the entire time. It's not... It was okay at first, but I've completely given up on the story. The characters
It lacks depth. It lacks depth.
The characters are atrocious. I can't stand any of them. I really don't like... And it's... The more and more I see it, the more it's starting to bother me. Araki's way of dealing with potential problems down the line, like just being like, oh, well, we have a character here whose stand ability is kind of dangerous. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of him.
He just disappears from the story. Because show him later walking the streets.
Because they can't fucking bring him. He would ruin everything. It's like a lot of shit could be solved if he was there, but fuck that guy. He needs to go. He's too strong.
Yeah, Fugo with purple haze.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, he has his own side story, so you can check it out. After he goes away, there's a side story of what he does.
Yeah, I'm not even interested.
He's just way too broke.
Of course he is. No, but that's kind of like, it's always bothered me with his style of writing, and it bothers me even more in Part 5 because there is so much shit that I feel like he could solve. Like, I feel like the answer, the writing's on the wall, the answer's right there, but it's just like, how can we go about this in the most roundabout, nonsensical way possible? Because, hey, it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's bizarre. No. But I really don't like Part 5. It's... ugh. Like, I'm not big on Part 1 either, but at least Part 1, it's short and it serves its purpose. But Part 5 is just... nah.
So, not high praise at all from JoJo Part 5. I find it entertaining, but it's definitely lacking in many, many aspects, which isn't very acceptable. Yata, how much of JoJo have you seen before?
I'm back in the 1850s, I'm afraid. I never got past season 1. Just too much of an inferiority complex, looking at all those muscle-bound men. And then, catching a glimpse of myself in the mirror or something like that, and just like, can't do it.
Oh, no, don't worry.
They slim down.
Part 5, they obviously slim down. So, like, doesn't matter.
It's all about that leaner look now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're still muscular as shit,
all fabulous, like Italians do.
They're still muscular as shit, though. And kind of gay. Even more gay.
Even more gay? I mean...
I guess you could put it that way, yeah.
Or you could just say even more Italian.
How would I deny? Look, as you've seen JoJo, there's no denial.
That's my point.
I did expect an episode where they go to Milan at one point and they go shopping for clothes, but that never happened.
Yeah, you never know. There's still 2 more episodes.
2 more to go.
Clothing. They don't need to buy more.
Yeah, 2 more to go. Maybe I'll get my Milan shopping episode.
Instead of killing Diablo, they're like, actually, let's go to Milan.
Yeah. Diablo.
Kill him with our fashion sense.
Hot and spicy. All right. So that's JoJo. I think I'm probably going to give it like a 6 or something at the end of it. It's just fine. It's not high praise. Unfortunately. I had expectations going into the show. It didn't meet them, so boo. All right, Yata.
Well, speaking of not meeting expectations and high expectations going into it and boos, I'm talking about season 2 of One Punch Man. The synopsis from my anime list is pretty thorough, so I'll just give it to you really quickly. The 2nd season of One Punch Man. That was it.
Nice.
I love that synopsis.
Short and sweet. So this was the difficult 2nd album, I guess, for One Punch Man. They obviously changed over to Studio JC staff, and a lot of people were, I would say, rightly concerned about that. They also got a new director for the season. What was the dude's name? Chikara Sakurai. And yeah, I think
Sakurai.
Everyone's heard what the problems are. The animation was pretty poor. The characterization was weak. And overall, it was a pretty overwhelming disappointment. Now, I think if you take it in isolation outside of season 1 and you just judge it for what it was, I don't think it's necessarily terrible. I was relatively entertained the whole way through. The things that I found were most egregious about it were just the lack of any truly memorable fights or battle sequences. And I know it's like a one-punch thing and they tend to be brief, but even with that mechanic set in place at the beginning, there were still very entertaining battles during season 1. Like the Boros fight at the end of season 1, I thought was phenomenal. Just visually, it was up there with the best of Mob Psycho. I always just compare the two of them because they're both from the same creator. This season, there was none of that. And even the tier 2 characters, where you can kind of go more traditionally shonen with their battles. You know, like Genos, he's a perfect shonen protagonist in a lot of ways. And you can have these more even-sided battles with an OP villain. And they can just be great. Like the Mezalgol fight again at the end of season 1 was phenomenal. This time around, like the highlights, I guess you could say the Metal Bat fight against Garo. That was fine. Like I was engaged, but it never felt essential, and it never felt like edge of your seat stuff or anything that you would ever return to. The whole thing was just a bit of a wet fart, really. Like, it was fine. I think Hickey summed it pretty well when he was talking about the season in general. Everything was kind of middling to fine. And I thought this was a perfect...
Painfully normal.
Yeah, painfully normal. And this was painfully normal. Honestly, like, it didn't look... I mean, there's stuff that looks way worse than this out there. But there's also stuff that looks way, way better. Like, I just could not stop thinking of... I just could not stop thinking of Mob Psycho Season 2. And how amazing that was. And then you're looking at this.
Mob Psycho got all the love. Let's be real.
Mob Psycho was handled by Bones, so it's okay. Like, One Punch Man, the biggest problem, or one of the biggest problems with One Punch Man Season 2 is obviously the fact that you can't help, like, a lot of people, well, I know they will say, just don't compare it to Season 1, but like, you kind of have to. Right? Like, you can't look at Season 1 of One Punch Man and look at Season 2 of One Punch Man and be like, yeah, this was fine.
This is okay.
That in itself is a big disappointment with One Punch Man Season 2. Sure, it's not the worst looking show, but the contrast is huge. So I like One Punch Man Season 2 still for, like, I like the story behind Garo. I think it's interesting seeing the different perspective. The guy was outside of the hero thing, like, in the sense that he was not the popular kid. He was being bullied, and people didn't like him. So therefore, he was always attributed as the monster, as the guy who has to be beat up. And he was also blamed as, whenever something happened, the guy who did wrong, because he wasn't in with the right people. He wasn't the cool kid. He wasn't the popular kid. And therefore, he was essentially treated the same as a monster and as a villain. And it
was very relatable. He was somehow a relatable character.
Yeah, and I like that part of it.
Yeah,
and that, again, shows the strong writing of one.
Yeah,
but
that was definitely
the package it comes in.
Yeah, I think leaning into Garo was like the best decision they made. You just, as much time with him as possible, because like Saitama felt like such an afterthought in the whole series, and I'm actually totally fine with that, because I do find the world that is presented in the series to be pretty interesting, and I'm happy to know more about all the other characters, and oh, give me more the husky dog. What's his name? Watchdog Man. I'll take all of them. I'm happy to see those guys. And then that was actually one of my biggest hair-pulling moments in the whole series, actually. I see this little dog, or this man in a dog's costume, and I'm very curious to see how he fights. And the episode ends, I think it was episode 7 or 8. The episode ends with Garo approaching him, and we're like, here we go, shit's about to go down. And then we cut to next week, and we see Garo has defeated him. And we saw a few stills.
No, he got the shit kicked out of him.
Well, but he did defeat Watchdog Man. He was worse for wear, and he got bitch kicked out later on by Saitama. But we never really saw some stills of it.
I thought he said he escaped.
Oh, I thought he defeated him.
Yeah. It was something like that. He was like, I never seen someone fighting like that, and the guy's just like making tricks, making dog tricks.
Yeah,
like, okay.
He learned from him, which he used in a later fight, but he didn't actually defeat him, but he got away.
I would have loved to see that, though, right? Like, because all we got was these still images of Watchdog Man swirling around and looking fabulous. But we could have seen that. Yeah. Also, like,
but that would require them animating it.
That's it, right? It was the same thing. We had this Akuma figure, this the previous winner in the tournament arc. At the end of it, he shows up, he drops some bodies, and he looks like quite an interesting villain. Like, he's going to get one punched, but it would have been nice to see that, as opposed to a head kind of torpedoing through the sky and just falling at the feet of the martial artist in the tournaments. Like, everything was just,
Well, I guess
they could have.
that's one's fault.
Yeah, he did that. But that, again, I kind of, like you said, that's kind of the point, right? You said One Punch Man feels like more of an afterthought. That's because he kind of is. He is the selling point of it, and he's what drags people into it. But he's not the main idea, because one knows that One Punch Man and Saitama, it's not that interesting of a character. There's only so much you can do with a guy who can defeat anything in one punch. You can't mess with that formula, right?
Yeah.
It's not like he's limited in what he can do, so he has to rely on everybody else to carry it. But that's why it's like stuff like that. Sure, he looks like an interesting villain, but obviously the punchline is still that Saitama kicks his ass, like it's no problem. And you don't really need to see that. You already know that he kicks his ass.
I know.
It's like the moment Saitama goes after him, you already know. It's like, that guy's dead.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that where, like, even though the result is predetermined and you know what's going to happen, it can still look great. And
no, I agree.
You're kind of there for this. Like, a lot of times in, like, season 1, you're just there for the Sakuga, right? And you're like, just let me see this guy knock some monster the fuck out in a very cool way. And like, it's a one note trick, but sometimes I think you can just lean into it a little bit more, because we only got that happen really once at the end of the season, and it was cool looking, and we all knew it was going to happen, but there was still an element of gratification seeing it happen. I think the issue, I don't know, I can bring this to you guys and pitch it to you, but do you think one of the issues with Saitama as a character is the fact that he's a little bit shallow, and if he was a little bit more like emo as a character, it might feel more he might have more longevity, as in because he's so bored, and we get it, he says it to King in episode 10, but if you felt like he was struggling with that boredom a little bit more, and he was just a little bit more emo and a little bit more in his own feelings, it could go on a little bit longer. Because I was thinking of, like, he's a Superman character, or I was thinking that movie Megamind. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Megamind, where there's a very Saitama-esque character in that movie, and he gets so bored with life that he ends up retreating from society, fakes his own death, and goes into hiding because he's just so fucking bored. But with Saitama, I could never believe that. Well, I mean, because the guy's so fucking shallow.
I don't think that would be good for Saitama, because he's way too self-aware of his power, right?
But that's what I mean. It's so if he was just a little bit more emo.
He's not depressed. He's just bored, and then you still have King saying, "Look, being the strongest is not your end goal. Like, being the strongest doesn't make you
a hero.
Happy. It's just like, just because you were the strongest doesn't mean you're a hero. So there's many things you can do. You need to stop looking at life like it's over. You reached the end goal. No, the end goal is way too far away from you." Of course, he says, I took that away from a manga, but
That's right.
I think it's a One Punch Man is a problematic series, not much because of the main character, but because of one. One has way too many problems with his personal life, and I think the second season, this is story with Garo and everything, he was having like some kind of problem. I don't remember if it was depression or something, and he decided like to stop drawing and go to work in a 7-Eleven.
Yeah,
it was something like that. He was struggling with something, and if the author is bored to death, he was still drawing, but he was bored. He wasn't feeling well, so he decided to stop drawing and go work in a convenience store. I don't think the problem is within the character, but within whoever is writing it, right? Because Saitama at that point, with what King is saying to him, it is basically what one would want to be hearing from someone, right? So I guess it's a little bit deeper than just fixing the character.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think you fix Saitama. I think Saitama does his thing. Like, again, what one is really good. One is shown, and I want to use Mob Psycho as the example, because he's shown what he can do with characters. He is good at developing characters, which is kind of funny when you think of Saitama, right? Because he's very shallow, very one-dimensional. But that's kind of the point. That was the idea that he sold So One Punch Man, and kind of like what you said, Hickey, the idea that like he is bored. He doesn't really he didn't really know what he wanted. He didn't even know if he wanted to be a mangaka, to be honest. That's kind of why he just stopped and then decided to come back, because it's like I don't really care. And then he got an opportunity to have his manga redrawn and everything, and now all of a sudden he is a mangaka, and even gets forced even more to draw One Punch Man, which is kind of hilarious. So I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see what happens, but I like one's writing. I like the way he goes about it. I agree. I don't think One Punch Man has that much longevity in it, which is why it's kind of a shame that I think that it's gonna get milked until it is just dead. Like there's nothing more to do, and people stop caring, and then it's like, yeah, now you can end it. But for now, like, I'm fine with where One Punch Man is. I think he still has ability to draw interesting stuff up, because he still has a pretty huge collection of characters that he can build on. That is not Saitama, because he can't build on Saitama.
Well, my feeling on season 2 here is solely based on where I think the show's heading. Because as Yata said, it's entertaining. I was engaged. Was I as fully as engaged as the first season? No. And it did lack a lot of One Punch Man himself, Saitama. I thought the show got a lot stronger when it started focusing more on Garo and his little origin story, what his motivations are. We're able to see some pretty decent fight scenes. It just, because of what season 1 was, it just made you think, man, I wish this looked like the other one. And I thought the cutaway fights, I was taking it as it's building towards the second half of where this is heading. That's what I'm assuming to be the little group Saitama's kind of surrounded himself with, and taking on the little monster society, right? And you're going to have the top heroes going first. You might show... I'm expecting you're going to see... what was his name? Dog Watchman?
Watchdog Man.
Watchdog
Best
Man.
boy.
Watchdog Man and those other guys, with the exception of Mecha Dude, take on the monsters. You will see a few of them fight and kind of struggle. And then Saitama's group will head in and save the day, and it's still going to focus on Garo and his role he's going to play within the Monster Society. So you might not even see Saitama's group show up until maybe part 3 of this arc we're in right now. So depending on how it all plays out, I could look at this season and see those seeds being planted much better. But because everything seems to be it's being cut away to leave that mystery, foreshadowing of where things to go. It's hard for me to gauge how I should grade this season. In itself, I was just entertained. I wasn't fully engaged. It was a nice week to week show, but I wasn't like clamoring to see it every week, if you know what I mean. It was missing too much, especially from what season 1 gave us with the fight scenes, the ultimate climax at the end. This was lacking in a lot of that.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it's fine, but I wasn't impressed.
Yeah, I mean, but it is a downgrade in many ways. I mean, you can just compare like the fucking opening episodes. Remember the opening episodes of season 1 of One Punch Man? That goddamn dream fight that Saitama has with these super powerful fucking underground people. God,
right.
that thing would look good. And they cut the fucking episode 1 of One Punch Man season 2.
Yeah, it's like a cold open. It's just, Here you go. Let's get this thing going.
It's like fucking, I remember watching episode 1 of One Punch Man. I was just like, dude, what the hell? This is awesome.
It felt like this season just took too long to get going. And then by the time you got into it and where it's heading, the show's over. Like, shit.
Yeah, again, it's a problem, right? Because here's the problem. One Punch Man season 2 got pushed to JC staff because the original staff was unavailable. They're working on other stuff, and they wanted it out. That obviously makes a problem for production. But the other problem is the fact that the arc that you're talking about is currently going. It's not even done. They don't even have a full arc to show. So it's like, what? What was the point of this?
Oh well. Can we say
money.
none of us hate the show, but
I don't hate it, but
disappointed
I'm
in the
very
show?
disappointed.
Okay, there we go. There's the answer.
On an optimistic note, though,
My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined.
Exactly.
one note of optimism.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just way too normal. Also, everyone is so blown away by how the downgrade worked that no one focused on the flash highlights, Shaft style. Everyone, like, at the beginning was like, oh my god, did you see what they did with Saitama's head? It looks like the shoulder of Kambaru in Monogatari series and all. No one talked about it during the season.
Well, you did, Hickey.
Did I?
Yeah, just now.
No. The season is over, JD.
Time to move on.
You stop with the dad jokes.
I would say, though, between Tsurui, King, and Genos, Saitama's putting together a nice little reverse harem. So interested to see where that goes in the future.
That is true.
You're not wrong with that.
I mean, he has Fubuki there, so like, that's enough. That's good. That's good enough.
It's a trap.
A big.
Don't give him ideas, Tori.
All
All right,
There's
Tori, what's
probably
your next
hentai
one?
about it anyway.
right. So yeah, the next show I'm going to be talking about is Boogiepop wa Wara Wara Night 2019, or Boogiepop Never Laughs. This was an 18-episode series produced by Madhouse and directed by Shingo Natsume.
It's Boogiepop's
Wow.
fault. It's
Director of
Boogie-
season 1 of One Punch Man.
That's where they all went, right?
Have you seen the original Boogiepop?
I have not seen the original, and now I never will.
Okay.
So yeah, the synopsis real quick here is: hushed exchanges among the female student populace of Shinyo Academy center around an enigmatic supernatural entity. This entity is Boogiepop, a Shinigami who is rumored to murder people at the height of their beauty before their allure wanes. Few know of his true nature. A guardian who, between periods of dormancy, manifests as the alter ego of a high school girl named Toka Miyashita, to fend off the enemies of the world. Now a string of mysterious disappearances, presumed by the school to be merely runaways, has caused Boogiepop to awaken. But somewhere in the academy, a menacing creature hides, waiting for its opportune moment to strike. So, yeah. Boogiepop is obviously something that I've heard people talk about for a while. It's relatively popular, and, its popularity makes kind of sense when you know that it's even inspired people like, wow, I'm drawing a blank. The author of Monogatari. Jesus.
Okay.
Nisusin?
Nisuisen, thank you. Yeah, it's even inspired him for his bizarre writing style. And it makes sense, because Boogiepop is not just like a straightforward point A to point B story, which you realize quite quickly that these events you're watching aren't necessarily happening after each other. But generally speaking, this show is really forgettable.
Yeah, just like the first one.
Yeah. I'm
Didn't
trying.
change much, right?
Yeah. No, I'm sitting here. I'm trying to think, like, what do I say about this show? And I'm just like, I'm not even entirely sure, to be honest. You'd think, you would think that with Shingo Natsume on board it would look good, but it really doesn't.
Yeah, just like the first one.
Yeah, it's actually really
Didn't
poorly
change
produced.
much, right?
It's actually really poorly produced. There's some disgusting uses of CG.
Oh, not like the first one.
Yeah, I mean they had to downgrade somewhere. But yeah,
Yeah.
So for anybody that thinks that Shingo Natsume only works on stuff that looks good, he does not. He just has a lot of connections, and he couldn't get them together for this one clearly. So yeah, no, it's a bad show. I'm sorry. Like I don't like Boogiepop. I think it tries to be a lot more philosophical
Up
than
its
it
own
actually
ass
is.
how I would describe it.
Yes, but even then, it's like I feel like it's trying to touch on stuff without really like giving anything out. Like it presents itself almost as kind of a mystery without really. But it's like a mystery without clues, right? It's like a bad mystery in that sense. You know, the ones where it's just like you get presented with a case, and then you get literally nothing for the next few episodes until you get the solution. You're just like, okay, cool.
See, Tori, what you're missing are the threads you have to connect by watching episode 1, and then 4 episodes later, now the thread is together. Therefore, it's awesome, says fan 1.
Yeah, okay. Now let's just completely ignore the fact that this entire novel is based on the unreliable narrator. In which case, you're not supposed to take anything you hear or see as fact.
Yeah, don't you see that as cool?
No, because I'm sitting here and I'm going like, so you can use the unreliable narrator to great effect. And I don't know, maybe the novel is amazing. I haven't read it. It could be that it is fucking
narrator.
Yeah, the unreliable narrator. But maybe
like
it's
that.
maybe that's what it's called. But maybe it's
No, are you kidding me? That's what they call them?
I know, right? But
You're joking.
It's
You're joking me right now.
it can be used to great effect. I've read books that have fucking good uses of unreliable narrator, but this is just this show in particular. It's just it feels like the moment I realized while watching this, that this was not that this was not just like a chronological order, but rather random events that's taken place over a set period of time.
Yep, just like the first one.
Really?
Yes, the exact same thing.
It almost seems like it's a remake.
I know, right? That at that point, I feel like a lot of the magic just kind of gets lost. And if I would like to see something, a bunch of incidents that happened in the same period of time, I would rather watch Kuchu Buranko, which is a goddamn comedy about mental illnesses that all take place within the same week.
What is the show? What is the show's score on Mal?
7.19. It's over a 7, and that's too high.
What does the original have? I gotta look this up.
Boogiepop.
Boogiepop, Waranai, the other one.
721.
7.21, so it's even higher.
Yeah.
Heading
The
time,
incomplete
the
story is
animation.
better.
Right. Alright, Yata, did you watch Boogiepop?
Watched the first 2 episodes. There was so much exposition I had to drop it. I was like, life is too short.
good
Life is
decision.
too short. Life is way too short.
Good.
Exposition is what this show does, really.
If I remember correctly, the first one had exposition, but it was a lot of characters just staring into each other's dead eyes.
Oh, yeah.
and
They do that now
style
too,
didn't
except
have
okay,
much in the
good.
first one as well.
they do that now too, except it's more so they're not really staring into each other's dead eyes as they do that sometimes, but they're also just generally just staring out into thin air like, huh.
Self-monologue a lot.
They do self-monologue a lot. They have conversations a lot about literally nothing. What do you think is going on there? I don't know. Is this apparition even real, or is it just a manifestation of all our collective belief? Could be. Am I real? I don't know. Can you prove that I'm real? No, I really can't. I can only prove that I'm real. Well, can you actually really prove to everyone else around you that you're real? Especially if they're not even real? It's like, huh, good question. I'm like, okay. And I especially hate, I just remember this, I especially hate, because one of the cardinal sins of Boogiepop, they love to repeat the same thing, say the exact same thing, but using different words to say the exact same thing. So they could say like 3 sentences that were all the same thing, but just said differently. I'm just like, this is not good writing. You're just saying the same thing over and over again. Just because you use different words does not mean you didn't just say the same thing. Yeah, I gave Boogiepop a 4. It was
that's what I gave the original.
See, it repeats. No, the mystery can be, especially in the beginning, it was intriguing. But then as it keeps going, you just kind of like, is this going anywhere? And then it ends, and you're like, nope, it really didn't. Because we're back at the start. We're back at where we fucking started this thing. It went nowhere. Literally.
So I'm reading, I tried to find a review on Mal of someone who gave this at least a 9. I found somebody. And the third paragraph, when he's... one thing I've noticed is when people review these shows and they give them a high score, when generally the show is generally a low score overall, they try to defend the show's flaws. So this line is, the reason being this series can be slow-paced and confusing at times, you'll end up like, what just happened? Who is this? What does that even mean? And that's the beauty of the series.
Hallmarks of a great anime, right?
Yeah, right.
Confusion.
If you don't understand it, you just don't understand. You don't get it. You don't get the beauty of not getting it.
That can be true.
Boogiepop. I like the original. I like that one, the second one. But it has a bunch of flaws. It's just the type of anime I like.
Yeah,
I guess. I mean, my favorite anime is fucking
Ergo Proxy.
Manga one. Yeah, Ergo Proxy, which is basically the same thing. No,
Hey, Ergo Proxy is
I
more
really
fun.
think kids going through their emo phase in high school would love this show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Dude.
That's how I
everyone who
describe
plays
shows
the
like
Hatting
Boogiepop.
Time will also like this show. No one.
Nah.
Okay, cool.
All right, Hickey, you up, brah.
Second one, because I had nothing better to reveal since the season was very bad, and I found a job, so I couldn't watch a bunch of things. I've been talking just briefly about Hachigatsu no Cinderella Night. No one watched it. I'm the only person who watched it.
You are one of 3 people. Actually, that's way too harsh. You are one of 100 people who even knows what this is.
I'm looking up what the.
Yeah,
This
I'm
is
I'm desperately
baseball
Googling it
show.
right now.
Yeah, this is a baseball show based on a mobile game app, which I've been playing since launch. So that's why I know what it is.
More people watch this than Mix.
Oh my god.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Oof! The moe. It's the moe.
It's the Moe bump.
It doesn't. It's very simple. There's a character called Tsubasa Arihara. She's a baseball player. She joins a new high school and then she starts a baseball team. That's basically the story. It's different from the story of the game. Because here they are forming the team. You only have half of the characters you have in the game. The game, you are a former professional player, or like junior player, let's put it that got, you just destroy your knee trying to catch a ball, and now you can't play anymore. So
Good God, that's a horrid knee injury.
Yeah, it is
relatable.
You get a very bad injury, and since you can't play anymore, you just go to a normal high school and you discover there's a baseball club there, and they know who you are and ask you to be the manager of the team.
And then you find the gacha machine
in the game. Shut up. I'm good at gacha, so I don't really care about it. My gacha luck is a-okay. The real big problem with the game is, especially at the beginning, you don't have a lot of cards and you don't have a lot of good cards. The problem is they have a mood effect. So if you turn on the game and you see the mood of the characters. Whoever has the good mood, you put to play. The problem is sometimes every single fucking character you have will be in bad mood, so you cannot play the game, or else you're just gonna get fucked. But yeah, it is basically the beginning, mounting the team, finding some characters, some of the best or the most popular characters in the game, to start the team and go into a few tournaments. Production-wise, it was made by a guy. It was directed by a guy called Susumu, and he's not a non-director because he's one of those guys who are just called to fill the role. He did a bunch of random shit, and the only thing memorable he did was Ghost in the Shell Arise Part 4. But yeah, he's just there to fill the position. Production-wise, it was fine, except the 2 last episodes, which was a little bit bad. But aside that, yeah, if you're interested in the game, even though you cannot play outside Japan, without some VPN, yeah, take a look. If you want a baseball anime, I would prefer you to go watch Mix or Touch.
Preferably Touch.
Yeah, you can watch Mix too. It's fine. It's different enough.
Okay. I gotta prepare myself mentally for this next one. Okay. So, my next one is something I was highly anticipating. We even covered it on a Manhwa checkout. I believe that was the episode's Brains was here from the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast, and that's Seven Seeds. One of my favorite mangas of all time. It's very shoujo. Well,
very shoujo is an understatement.
Well, very shoujo in a post-apocalyptic world.
Shoujo.
So post-apocalyptic themes are, with me, almost a slam dunk, always.
And shoujo.
Sometimes shoujo.
Sometimes shoujo.
Sometimes. What the show's about is a meteorite's going to collide with Earth and fuck everything up. And so Japan and all the other countries invoke this project called the Seven Seeds, in which 5 sets of 7 young men and women are carefully selected through superior genetics and the whatnot, placed into teams called Spring, Summer, Autumn, Winter. And there just happens to be a second summer team consisting of basically the dropouts of society, randomly chosen. So they end up waking up in various times when the Earth is habitable again. And you follow 3 characters. 2 characters are in the B summer team. You have Natsu, who is this quiet, nerdy type girl who's always picked on in school, and hot shoujo boy number 1, right? That's your little formula there. And then in another team, in the superior genetics team, you follow Hana, who's the other girl. So you're supposed to be following these 2 girls, and they're both in love with the same dude. But they've been and Hana and our hot shoujo boy were an item before the meteor struck. Well, they don't realize that they were all chosen on these teams. They were just kind of kidnapped in the middle of the night, and they just wake up, and it's many, many years later. Thousands. Perhaps millions. But you don't know. We really don't know how much time has passed. What the manga... Okay. Many reviewers out there, or anime watchers, will be like, the manga's better. Like, that's the kind of the default reaction. The book is better than the movie, the book is better than the TV show. I'm usually not like that. But in this case, holy fuck, is this show an egregious adaptation. I have never in my life been this pissed off watching something be adapted the way Studio Gonzo did.
I was about to say, JD's favorite manga got gonzoed.
My God, did Gonzo royally fuck this up. And this is a Netflix anime, by the way. So the budget, or whatever it is, Netflix has a winning record with me in their adaptations and what they've done. Well, Studio Gonzo needs to just die. Because I don't remember the last hit that they've had. Do you guys know?
Nope, they haven't had one. That's kind of their problem. They've been trying so many different video game adaptations lately because they don't have a popular franchise anymore. They used to have one. They had many.
The original Full Metal Panic and NHK?
Something like that, yeah. But they've had many things. They used to be pretty
in 2006.
They used to be a pretty decent studio, but now it's just like you just get shit like fucking what's that? Oh goddamn! What's that game that you love so much, Iki? The fucking
the game I like.
The one where you
Oculus
fight
Strip.
people. The Oculus Strip, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. They got Blade and Soul, the fucking MMO thing. Oh. Shit like that. It's so bad. They're terrible.
Let's see. I mean, they did Rosario Plus Vampire.
Yeah, but that's way back in the day. That's my point.
Yeah, early 2000s, and they messed up Hellsing. They have a history of messing up everything. So what did they mess up in this one? Well, first of all, they mess up introducing characters. So you could say they changed the story or anything. Karakuri Circus was a great example of too many chapters meshed into the story too fast, right? It started out, first 5 episodes or so, was pretty good, and then it just kind of goes off the rails with its pacing. Too much information, too much plot just passing by at once. You can't get into anything. The characters aren't developing the way they should. Well, Studio Gonzo and Seven Seeds on Netflix just goes, try to entice the viewer with a story and character introduction? Nah, we're just going to go balls to the wall. Okay. The show starts out with our delinquent team are waking up, but you don't know they're like in cryogenic they're waking up from cryogenically frozen. They just wake up from their like bed, and then they're in the ocean, and then it cuts to Hana and her team, and they're running away on an island. And then it cuts again to our other team, and they're just kind of like talking to each other, just dialogue. You just don't know who anybody is. You honestly couldn't even tell who the main characters were, right? And the dialogue, they just kind of briefly go over, we woke up, where's everybody? We don't know where we are. It kind of does that for a while. And it just keeps cutting back and forth between the two teams. There's no way for you to grasp the situation that they're in, and the characters don't even come across as they're grasping any sort of situation, right? The other thing it does is it introduces a new set of characters every single episode, and then it seemingly forgets about other characters. And you're supposed to be meeting other teams as you progress through the story and learn more about the world, but you don't. The show doesn't do any of that. It all takes place in the span of minutes rather than over the course of what could be full arcs and episodes, right? So within the first 6 episodes, you're introduced to over 30 characters. I have read the manga, and I could not even tell you watching the show who an eighth of the characters are.
That made me remember of my Yoiga. Ooh. That's not good.
No, it's horrid. Probably the best way I can describe the show in how it tries to tell you the story and how characters quote unquote develop is there's a scene with Hot Shoujo Boy, and he goes, I want to travel to my hometown and see what the state that it's in, and as we know from the manga, Hickey, Natsu has a lot of inner dialogue, and she's kind of struggling with herself. She's slowly fallen in love with Shoujo Boy, because as she does.
Well, yeah, I mean, and also like trying to not fall in love with Hot Shoujo Boy number 2, the bullying, Bungaloo. Yeah.
Oh, the show doesn't even go that route at all.
Wait, there's no bullying?
In fact, Natsu is a complete afterthought.
There's bullying, right? There's bullying.
Yeah, there's bullying.
And he's just like the shitty guy. They never get you a little bit of redemption.
He's literally an afterthought. He's just kind of there. He just yells every now and again, and you would never even know or care about who this guy is.
Oh.
If you're going in this blind, you would think Shoujo Boy is your main character, and Hana eventually, after like 4 episodes. You'd be, okay, those are the 2 characters I need to care about. Natsu is in fact your main character, but you'd never know. She has no bearing on the story whatsoever in this anime. But Shoujo Boy goes to his hometown, and he's all upset. He's like, no, my girlfriend's in the past, everyone's dead, oh, I'm so upset. And then Natsu goes, he's really upset.
Really?
Yeah, really. And so then it cuts to Hana, doing her thing. She's all struggling. She's having melodramatic moments, but it's all jarring. You don't really get led into anything. Events just happen. Just shit happens all the time, right? Then it cuts. 5 minutes cuts. Cuts back to Natsu and our Hot Shoujo Boy at a campfire. And she has the dialogue, he's been really upset lately. days have gone by ever since that incident. You're like, what, days? 5 minutes has passed. And then so she looks at him, and he goes, here's some food. She goes, I have to find a way to cheer him up. And then immediately he just looks at her, and they start laughing over the fish they're cooking. I'm like, he's fine now. Okay. And that's the show. Everything's just okay. Shit happens.
And that's it lacks a lot of the impact of the first one.
There is no impact. There's no impact to anything.
Did they try to like cramp everything like until the end in a 12-episode series?
I would say we've gotten half the manga at this point.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
With 12 episodes.
Holy shit! They sped it up.
Oh
damn.
Yeah. I was at the beginning. I was kind of putting the pace at a volume an episode. It's in fact more than that, but then it skips all around and meshes everything together with a quick pace. So there's no way you can really grasp any sort of time frame, who characters are, why we should care about them. This is one of the as a huge fan of the story and the manga, and something I should be a total mark for. I was more flabbergasted in how much they fucked this up. You know, Karakuri Circus, I could at least sense some fun, right? I could sense there was something to enjoy there. And Seven Seeds is even worse, because I couldn't even find a something I enjoyed. I even from a perspective of this is an anime adaptation, I will take all of the manga out of it. I couldn't keep up with it. I hate the show. I absolutely hate it. Don't recommend it. This is probably going to get a 1 or 2 out of 10 with me. I haven't decided yet. I'm still just fuming over the show. It's hard.
Welcome to the wonderful world of Gonzo.
Yeah.
The moment where you realize
in
that the
defense
things
of Gonzo. In defense of Gonzo, they did Sorega Seiyu in 2015.
Yeah, okay,
that was really good. And they did Hinomara... what's the name of the show?
Hinamatsuri?
Hinomaru Zumo.
Oh, yeah, the sumo one?
In the beginning, yeah.
The sumo show?
Yeah,
Nobody
the
cares
sumo
about
show,
these.
which was really, really good. So in defense of them, but they did Conception, which was
also did-
unacceptable.
Well, that negates a lot of things.
With the rapey raccoon thing, and regardless, I don't want to remember that show. But,
I would
it was
like
just
to
unfortunate.
apologize to everybody whom listened to our cast and hyped up the show. Hickey, you and I were both excited for it. Didn't know Studio Gonzo was behind this until it was too late.
I mean, doesn't matter. I was like, it doesn't really matter the studio because it's Netflix, and Netflix will at least try to do. Look, I'm trying. Shut up, Tori. At least try to pour some money on it.
Nah.
But I guess they did, and they also decided to speed up everything.
Like, I had a feeling it was going to be bad when a lot of the gore was taken away. A lot of cutaways. Like, scenes that you should care about. You're just kind of like, okay, that happens. I'm so sorry. I hope the show is just straight up canceled. I hope we never see the second season. I hope it gets berserked.
You mean gets a remake every once in a while?
It makes a remake on full CGI.
I would honestly, I am gonna fully admit this. If Millipedes did the shitty CG adaptation, but at least did the story right, I would prefer that version over what we got here. That's how bad
JD
the
going on the
seven
internet
seasons.
with a ski mask, saying some stuff in Arabic and just burning the manga.
Alright.
Yato, weren't you interested in checking out Seven Seeds?
I was very, very interested. Unfortunately, our Netflix in Taiwan is a little bit behind the times in comparison to New North America. So it only became available here a couple of days ago, and by that point, the feedback had been so overwhelmingly negative. I just couldn't in good conscience dive into that.
I just read the manga. The manga, like the biggest problem with the manga is that it is extremely shoujo.
Yeah, it's shoujo as fuck.
if you can ignore that, it is a fun.
That's
ride.
my favorite. That's my favorite.
I was excited to
demographic.
watch the anime. I'm staying the fuck away out of the. I'm not going there. No.
Part of me kind of just wants to give it a shot. Not because I want to watch anything good, but because I'm just wondering, like, the only thing that could, in any remote, save this, for me, is if Gonzo was just fucking cheeky enough to slap a bunch of fucking references to Gonzo universe in there, to the fucking Gonzoverse. In which case, I would be like, that's it, they ruined it for personal promotion.
You want to watch that and then compare to Island of Giant Insects.
Oh man!
You want to do that.
I still haven't seen Island of Giant Insects. I want to watch that. I hear it's atrocious, and not at all what the PV promised. I can't wait. At least that's only one episode.
Yeah, true.
This was 12 episodes of horror. Okay. Oh, Yata, please calm me down, because I haven't had a visceral reaction to an anime in I want to say a year. I think a year. I think Death March was the last one I kind of lost my shit over.
That was JD cutting a promo on Seven Seeds.
Yeah, exactly so.
So my second show was Fairy Gone, and yes, this was a bit of a waste of time, honestly. I went into this one...
Glad I dropped it.
I basically went into this one looking for... I had the bar pretty low. I wanted Tenro Sirius the Jaeger Part 2. It's from the same studio. I was looking for good, dumb fun. Like, emphasis on the dumb. I'm not expecting miracles here. I was like, just give me something that's kind of semi-flashy, over-the-top characters, and some good action scenes. And that's enough for me. Like, honestly, easily pleased when it comes to fantasy. But holy fuck.
Oh, Show Mitsutoshi.
This one...
You chose the wrong show.
Yeah, this one, the synopsis is amazing for this one. And it's just so overly complex. If you can kind of follow with me as I go through the synopsis, you'll see, like, one of the major problems just off the bat. So we start off with the opening line here. Once upon a time, fairies were tools of war. And it goes on and on and on. The story takes place in a world where fairies possess and dwell in animals, giving them mysterious abilities. By removing the organs of a possessed animal and transplanting them into humans, fairies can be summoned as an alter ego and be used as a weapon. Such individuals who use fairies as war tools were called fairy soldiers. Once the war was over and they completed their roles, the soldiers lost their purpose. Some began working for the government, some joined the mafia, and even some became terrorists, as each chose their own way to live. 9 years have passed since the war. The protagonist, Maria, is a new recruit of Dorothea, an organization who investigates and suppresses fairy-related crimes. Amidst the unstable political situation, criminals and lingering wounds from the war and past conflicts emerge and engage in terrorism as an act of revenge. This is a story of fairy soldiers fighting for their own justice in a chaotic post-war world. I don't know why, when I read that synopsis, I was like, oh shit, I was thinking of Psycho-Pass meets... some sort of high fantasy. And I was like, I could totally watch that. Psycho-Pass and high fantasy, I'm totally down. But with the bar being Tenro Sirius the Jaeger. That's what I wanted, just something like on that level, like a 6 out of 10. There was so much going on here. Like you were talking about Seven Seas just kind of throwing you in, and it was just action, action, action all the way, and you've got really nothing to coordinate yourself and situate yourself into the world. This happened.
Correct.
This was basically Fairy Gone for the first 2 episodes, and then everything just stopped. They threw the world was just such a fucking mismatch, and she literally the hero journey never began. She never got to her goal at any point throughout the series. It was just, here's more shit to throw at you. Hey, do you like cars? Do you like trucks? How about we put some legs on them? That's new, right? I've never seen that before. And the animation was fine. The acting was fine. Like everything was kind of fine, except for the fact that nothing actually happens. The plot was just, like non-existent.
CG though.
Yeah, the CG fairies. I'll give you were pretty shitty. But they
talked about Fairy Gone and the first impressions, and I remember like the first episode was so packed with information.
Yeah,
like the introduction of the characters is just so dumb. It's like, hey, you stop slacking off, go to your fucking position.
Stop calling me you.
Someone might die, and she's like, it's not you, it's this. I was like, don't give a shit. Go back to your position. Go to work. But yeah,
The fairies were rough.
There's one scene. There's one scene in the first 3 episodes where like they're chasing the other guy, the blonde guy, with long hair, and they're on top of a bike. The bike slides, but like it's all CG, but it looks like they just. Oh my god, it looks like there's no friction, and they are glued to the motorcycle until it changes to normal animation, and they're just like having this horrid accident. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's on hold. They still didn't drop it. I want to watch the second core of it.
I would say like the fairies, the first time you see the fairies, it's shocking. It's shocking how shit they look. But I became desensitized to it pretty quickly. By like the end of episode 2, I was sort of like, well, that's what they are. They're these like CG aberrations that kind of come on and they fight. And like on a design level, like CG aside, if they were like hand drawn, I like the design of the fairies. Like I was ashamed to say, I was like, oh, that fairy looks kind of cool. If you squint and tilt your head,
that could have looked really cool.
but yeah, this CG watch egregious.
Like the thing with the fairy fights, though, is that they kind of, even those became fucking irrelevant because they just kind of called out their fairies and then they fucking went off screen to fight. It's like, who gives a shit? It's like, okay, sure. Every once in a while they appear back into screen, like, no, I will stop you now. Then the other third one comes back in and fucking just attacks the other one. Then they go off screen again. It's like, all right, cool. They're there. They're doing their own thing. They're irrelevant. It was like they didn't even need that. But like as well, the first fucking episode, I swear to God, by the amount of things they did, the amount of information you get in that first episode, they could have done an entire fucking 12 episode series based on the information you get in episode 1.
Yeah,
There's a fucking story to be told there. But fuck
heel
it.
turns, face turns. Oh, secret, long lost loves. I'm Veronica. I'm not Veronica anymore. She's dead. But you're really Veronica. We're from the same town. Flashbacks. I'm a good guy. I'm a really bad guy. I'm an undercover cop. The mafia, the armies. Yeah, there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, we'll just get the expedition. We'll just get a lot of dumping of information here in the beginning, and hopefully, shit will actually happen. The biggest problem with the whole series, like shitty CG aside and too much going on in the beginning, was the fact that nothing really happened.
Yeah.
And like having to sit through another 12 episodes.
But there's a whole nother 12 episodes for this.
I found a person on my anime list who rated 7 Seeds a perfect 10.
Oh my god.
I must
It's
read
a
this
troll.
review.
No.
Read it
I
out.
must.
Read it out.
I have to. It's a very short review. I have not read the manga, so this is based purely off the anime itself.
There you go.
So we're off to a very perfect start here. I watched this whole anime in a day. It was attention capturing. I hate the way this ends. Capital letters, all with the word hate. It's too unfulfilling and leaving questions that may not be answered. The art was very nice, as Netflix usually delivers. Its start is a tad chaotic, but seemed to be the point to scramble the watchers as much as the characters. It does cover some rather heavy topics. They do so really well, sometimes the topics seem to be rushed. The series follows 2 lovers, heartbroken to wake up they don't have each other. By luck, they are together in this new hostile world. I do suggest this anime if you like dark anime. It's dark like the anime Another. Ugh. Probably worse. Covering purposeful murder, abuse, rape, and mass death. Overall very clever, but needs fleshing out. Perfect 10 out of 10.
Hey JJ.
Okay,
hey JD, can you do me a favor?
He missed the point so fucking hard. Holy shit.
So, like I
JD,
said,
can you do
didn't
me-
even realize Natsu's the main character of the fucking manga.
Even still, I'm convinced that is a troll review.
JD, can you do me a
convince
favor
me
and click
of
on that
anything
person's profile and tell me the average score of their anime rating?
You got it.
It's a troll review. I refuse to believe anything else.
9.67.
9.67. There you go.
It's a troll account. No, that is a fucking troll account. I refuse to believe anything else.
Watch 3 total anime, 7 Seeds, Dororo, and K.
I like
K
K.
has a 9 out of 10, by the way.
Yeah, troll account.
Yeah.
They know what they like.
I mean, if you find an 8 out of 10, I believe that's a person who actually watched it.
Okay, I'll read. I found one immediately. I won't read it, but I'll just read it to myself as you guys keep talking about Fairy Gone. If you have anything else to
He
say.
can't move past 7 seeds.
5
No,
out,
it's
5 out of
really
10.
scarred me.
5 out of 10. Very gone.
Well, I mean, I'm still on hold because I was watching it. Then I found a job. Now I need to be responsible, so it's on hold. But I still want to watch it and then watch the second season. Although in this season we have like Sacred Beasts, which looks like a better version of Fairy Gone.
I mean, it sure took some fucking pages out of the same book of Fairy Gone, because the episode 1 of that show, my god, a lot happened.
Episode 2 is also very dumb.
Shit was going.
I didn't say it wasn't dumb, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of like what happens in episode 1 of that show, god damn it, there was a lot that happened in episode 1 of that show.
The only thing with
they fight an entire war.
The only thing with Sacred Beast is it's Mappa, and I've kind of been high on a lot of their shows recently, so I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. For episode 1, it was it was breakneck speed.
Just go with the bar as low as you can, and that time you have fun.
Can't do it. It's Mappa. They're too good, sadly. But yeah, all right, then fair enough. Then it's my turn again, I guess. While JD still immerses himself in 7th Seed.
I'm waiting for him to choke on indignation at some point. A 9? You fucking kidding me?
No, he's gone.
So 7 Seeds covered 84 chapters in 12 episodes, by the way. That's the exact number.
Some Tokyo Ghoul stuff right there.
That's very opposite of Vinland Saga from this season. It goes like, what, a chapter an episode?
Chapter and episode would have been very enjoyable then, if that was the case. But 7 Seeds decided to do a volume, at least an episode. Okay.
All right. You can drink this episode, okay? You want, but don't drink too much. You can just drown your sorrows in booze.
I'm still drinking my coffee. I'm not breaking out the Canadian Velvet yet.
You can just put some brandy in it.
I don't have brandy. I should have some though.
The structure of this podcast is amazing. Anyways, let's move on to my final review then, which is Dororo, the 2019 remake of Dororo to Hyakimaru.
You gotta say it with as many Rororos as possible.
Dororo. You know what? I could go all day. I don't wanna. So yeah, anyways, Dororo was produced by, you guessed it, Mappa and Tezuka Production.
I've heard good things about those studios.
Yeah, Tezuka Production is kind of a Tezuka fanboy, though. Anyways, yeah, it's a 24-episode TV series, so 2 core. And the synopsis from Mal goes like this. The greedy samurai lord Daigo Kagemitsu's land is dying, and he would do anything for power, even renounce Buddha and make a pact with demons. His prayers are answered by 12 demons who grant him the power he desires by aiding his prefecture's growth at a price. When Kagemitsu's first son is born, the boy has no limbs, no nose, no eyes, no ears, nor even skin. Yet still, he lives. This child is disposed of in a river and forgotten. But as luck would have it, he is saved by a medicine man who provides him with prosthetics and weapons, allowing for him to survive and fend for himself. The boy lives and grows, and although he cannot see, hear, or feel anything, he must defeat the demons that took him as sacrifice. With the death of each one, he regains a part of himself that is rightfully his. For many years, he wanders alone, until one day an orphan boy, Dororo, befriends him. The unlikely pair of castaways now fight for their survival and humanity in an unforgiving, demon-infested world. So yeah, this is based on a old Osamu Tezuka manga, who got a anime adaptation back in 1969, I think it was. And
Si, senor.
Good. And yeah, this remake was something I was looking forward to quite a lot, and as luck would have it, was a pretty good show, all things considered, especially in the beginning. It was nice because it changes a lot from the manga, and it changes a lot. It changes the kind of silly tone of the manga a lot. It's not as comedy driven anymore, and it makes it a little bit more dark. Obviously seeing Hyakimaru without his body parts, and then kind of his fight to regain his body parts is really interesting. The demon fights are nice. The first half of the show was really good. The second half of the show, it kind of, in my opinion, starts to drag a little bit. And especially, we end up with 2 episodes where they decided to give the responsibility for those 2 episodes to a man who is, for whatever reason, known to have this really weird art and animation style that I don't know if he's a big fan of like minimalist animation from like Tezuka times, but yeah, he single-handedly, for a moment, I thought that they'd literally just production time had caught up to them and that this was what the show was going to look like now. And then obviously I was told that no, actually this was just this man's style, and which I had to question myself: what style? Ruining a show? Is that his style? The visuals took a nosedive, and I got back
Which
up
2
towards the
episodes
end.
were that, by the way?
I don't remember.
I think it was 13 and 14.
Yeah, it
13
was
to
around
14.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. But yeah, no, that disappointed me a lot, and I kind of never really fully recovered. I don't feel like it ever got back to like the strong parts of part 1, but obviously he carries on killing demons. He kind of Yakimaru kind of starts getting desperate because he's killing demons and not getting body parts back, and he's like really, getting his body back kind of becomes an obsession for him, and he wants it. Why does he want it? Because it's his. But like, if he gets his body back together, others are going to suffer. And then, general questions like, is it right for other people to make him suffer in order to live a life of peace and prosperity? And is it all right for him to take all that away? Is that selfish?
I like the whole side concept as well, where the villagers kind of see the reality to it all, where there's a war happening anyways, so what difference does it make?
Well, yeah, that's at the very end. Like, the war kind of stops because nobody wanted to fuck with them, like, because they were just too strong. The reason why the war kind of sparked back up again was because they realized that they're weakening. So, yeah. But even still, it becomes okay. But one thing I really didn't like is how some of the characters, and in particular, Hakimaru's mother, acts. Because she is kind of... The first time she meets Hakimaru again, she tries to kill herself as atonement, because as one does. And then obviously she stopped, and now everybody's like, oh, I'm going to become a demon in order to kill this man. And Hakimaru's kind of also becoming a demon, and eventually he starts riding a fucking Ponyta. Yeah. From Pokemon.
Dude, he gets a fucking strong-ass Ponyta.
It's a Rapidash right there, gentlemen. It's a Rapidash. I think it's fully
I don't know.
evolved.
It only evolved from its death state. It became a Ponyta. It didn't evolve again to become Rapidash.
Dude,
Nobody cares about Pokemon, goddammit.
No, we got to be very specific about this, because this was a great point in the show where Dororo's riding the fire horse of death and wrecking shit because he wants his goddamn arms.
But it was very much a horse though, right, and not a pony. And it was swole.
It is a horse. It is a horse. It was the adult.
They had a baby.
But anyways,
No, the babe lived. The babe lived. Don't worry about it. It was the mother. The mother got slaughtered.
oh yeah,
And became a fire demon.
and I got slaughtered again.
And get slaughtered again.
But yeah, no. But even still, like, it's at the end as well. Where it's like after fucking Hakimaru's mother has kind of just fucking reserved herself, like, I don't want bad things to happen, but I'm kind of conflicted. I don't want bad things to happen to either of my children. And I've been a bad mother, and I'm just like, yeah, no shit. But anyway, so then it's kind of just like dilly-dallying back and forth. It's like, should I go and see him? Should I not go and see him? Should I get into that? Should I not? And then she does, but it's like, what is even the point of dragging her into all this? What is she actually doing here? Except for eventually sitting down with fucking, what was his name? Tahomaru, and dying in a fire.
But Tori, you're missing the whole point. Hugs are very important.
They are, and the only one who got a hug was Sawamaru.
Well,
I mean, to be honest, he deserved it. He's been neglected his entire life. But,
everything is okay as long as you get the hug. And
Sure.
then you must sacrifice yourself, because then that's the only way to go. It's this. You forget, Tori, this is Japan.
Sure.
Way back in the day.
Well, yeah, sure, but this is a modern remake. No, but it's...
No,
Shut up. Nah, but, like, again, the show is good. I enjoyed the show. It did sadly fall off a little bit, which is why I ended up in the end giving it a 7 rather than an 8, which I was on pretty much the entire time, but... I mostly blame those 2 episodes that fucking, like episode, what was it, 13 and 14? Like, fucking,
Yeah.
I mostly blame those. Like, that just kind of completely killed my boner for this show.
Yeah, like those are bad. Like the opening, the ending, both of them really good. One was done by Asian Kung Fu Generations, really really nice. The animation was really nice. Just episode 13, like why episode 13, episode 14 happened? Oh my
Yeah,
god, it was so bad.
There's a thing as well with the second opening. I prefer the first opening.
I do too, but I like Asian Kung Fu Generations.
I do too. But my problem with the second opening is most like I feel like the first opening kind of shows you like more, or kind of hits you more like in the feels, like with the more emotional aspects of it, and then the second opening kind of feels like a standard shonen opening.
Yeah, it was very shonen. It really was.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that like a representation of how this show is going to be now? Are we going to go from like dark story about fucking getting your body parts together to just like full on shonen?
I did like the consistency of the show, where for some reason everyone resorts to looking to a demon to solve their problems, and then inevitably, as one would guess, it's not a good idea and it doesn't turn out very well.
I mean, it worked okay, but it's kind of like, you have to pay the price. It's,
and
it's the thing.
as long as they're willing to accept the price paid, which unfortunately Dororo's brother doesn't really see it that way until the very end.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, shit, I fucked up.
I did that, but I did also like that point, the whole like the monk, the blind monk talked about like, don't let him become, like, be careful, like don't let him become a demon. And it is kind of interesting, that part at the end where he's just obsessed about getting his body back. And like, his reasoning for getting his body back makes sense. Like, it's not profound or anything, but it's like, why do you want your body back so desperately? Because it's mine. Right?
Simple enough, right?
Yeah, it's like, that's not a profound
who wants
reason.
to walk around as a super cripple?
Yeah, it's like
Can't argue with the logic.
It's not really
He was an
profound,
awesome
but
super cripple. He had fucking katana arms.
yeah, it was a badass cripple, but still, it's like, it's not like he would be a worse fucking swordsman because he got his arms back, I don't think. But, and his eyes. But,
The arms probably, because the technique he was using was relying on not having wrists.
Well, that's why he ended up tying his hands to the swords.
Yeah.
That is because he was cutting himself on them. But yes.
If you hold a sword or a knife with your hand, you can press whatever you want, and it won't cut your hand. Just if it will only cut you if you slide your hand through it. Which didn't happen, so that didn't make a lot of sense that he cut his arms, like he cut his hands just by holding the swords. That doesn't really happen.
No, he was squeezing
if there's
so
an
hard,
impact. Even if there's an impact, it wouldn't be able to cut yourself. Regardless.
Anyway.
Hickey with the science of swords. Actually, this isn't how swords behave. False. Wrong.
Look.
But
Oh, you're right.
we did.
I have studied the science behind the swords.
I vastly enjoyed this show. Very much a lot of the same opinions as you, Tori. So I won't go any more into it. I ended up giving it an 8.
I think
You want to say something, Yata?
any show that gave us albino demon bone sharks is at least an 8 out of 10.
A shark with legs. The worst nightmare.
We've seen worse things that produce shark with legs.
I think Junji Ito did a story about sharks with legs, didn't he?
Yes.
Probably.
Yes, he did. It's quite infamous.
Gyo.
Okay. Hickey, your last one.
Do not judge me.
No, I will.
Look. I was going to work. I was very tired. I'm not very used. So whenever I came home, I would eagerly watch Seiwa Yaki Kitsune no Senko-san, which I'll talk about now. It is your dumb boy show, okay? The synopsis says the everyday life of Nakano, a salaryman working for an exploitative company, is suddenly intruded upon a fox, Senko-san, 1800-year-old little girl. Whether it's cooking, cleaning, or special service, ? Oh, please God. She will heal his exhaustion with the... This looks like a fucking hentai synopsis for some reason. Regardless. Yeah. The synopsis says everything. You have the main character, which is Nakano, a everyday salaryman, just like us, except Tori, because,
Yep.
Yata, do you work?
I do.
You have a work?
9 to 6, Monday to
Oh, okay,
Friday,
so,
elementary school teacher.
Oh, nice. So yeah, like every one of us except Tori.
We just shoot the shit
He's
about
just...
Detective Conan every day. So as long as I keep up with that, they think I'm cool.
Nice.
Man of culture.
A man of... it depends. There's a few steps until you become a man of culture, but I won't go through them. But yeah, until he gets visited by Senko-san, which is a fox spirit, and she says that she will just heal his soul. There's a lot of things going behind, especially with his... like one of his ancestors that happened to save Senko-san and things like that. But yeah, for some reason, this show animation is extremely good. I don't know why. Is that every single season, the dumbest shows with the just moe things, nothing really happens, has the best animation. It was the most consistent animation of the season, definitely. But yeah, I was just, whenever I was tired of work, I would just put it in, especially because one of the seiyus I really like, she's in Idomasa Cinderella Girls, the seiyu of Senko, Azumi Waki. And yeah, just a good show to relax before sleeping, especially if you like moe stuff.
Okay.
I like that I'm the only one who watches this shit.
Well,
Of course you are.
Thank you guys. Tori, you've been watching everything. You cannot say, of course,
excuse me. I've been watching everything. No.
Yeah,
Not even.
Since I got to work, I'm not watching everything. So you are the new watch everything.
I don't watch everything.
You
Fuck
watch
that.
more than me. Well,
No, I didn't. I actually don't watch more than you, even though you
I know.
were.
I just realized that. Never mind.
all right. So my last show is Ultraman. Something I've been speaking highly of. I spoke highly of it in the impressions. It is not a remake of the original, but a continuation of the original, a sequel, if you will, focused on the son of the original Ultraman. It is, in my opinion, one of the best just pure action shows, and it captures a lot of the spirit the original Ultraman brings, where it's superhero fights villain and builds up to a supervillain. Or it fights villains and builds up to fighting the inevitable villain at the climax at the end of the show. And it really is that. It doesn't have much for... I won't beat around the bush saying it has this crazy in-depth plot. It doesn't. Simply, supervillain wants to just simply fuck some shit up, and it's Ultraman's job to not let him do that. And you are introduced to a character after the halfway point that has a very strange origin story and odd, more or less odd motivation to become a second Ultraman, or at least I'll just say super robot deal, and the ultimate I enjoyed all of the action scenes and battles. They're very memorable, actually. I liked them much more than the JoJo Part 5 battles. Can't say I enjoyed too much of the One Punch Man Season 2 battles. They just weren't very memorable. The climax and how Ultraman ultimately finally, or the son of Ultraman finally gets to his superpower level is quite cool. It's well animated for Netflix and CG. It's something I would recommend if you're looking for a solid action show. I have no regrets. I definitely watched it much faster than I think any anime from this spring season. It was a fun show. It really knows what it is and knows what it needed to execute. So I mean, I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's not deep. I won't put it above, say, March Comes in Like a Lion or anything like that. But if you're looking for a solid action show, this is for you. Hickey, did you want to check out Ultraman at some point?
Yes, because I like the original Ultraman.
Yeah,
I really enjoy. I enjoy tokusatsu shows.
Yeah.
But I haven't been able to. I've read the manga a long time ago, so yeah, I'll check it out eventually. Especially now that Brazilian Netflix has some Danmachi movie. I'll have to pay the fucking subscription, so might as well watch it. Stay away from Seven Seeds and watch Ultraman, because Ultraman is fun. It's up there with Kamen Rider and what's the name of the other one? It's Ultraman. There's I forgot. You have Jiraiya as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of the execution of the end, of how it kind of wrapped up its little story, but at the end of the day, were you entertained? Wasn't an easy watch, and I think it nails it pretty well. So, if you're gonna watch a Netflix show from 2019, I would say this is the one, actually. Kakaguri XX was okay. I think Ultraman nailed what it was meant to be better. So.
Now imagine if it was made by Gonzo.
I would rather not. All right. So we're going to wrap this spring season up with Attack on Titan Season 3, Part 2. Now, a lot of people, Yata including, didn't come back to Attack on Titan after its 4-year hiatus?
Mm-hmm.
And then Season 2 was kind of disappointing for a lot of people. With what it was doing, and then Season 3 Part 1 brought in a lot of fans back because of its what it was doing and the story being told, and then Season 3 Part 2 here was wrapping that up with the Beast Titan, and you find out what's in the fucking basement finally. Heavy journey.
Yeah. Sure is. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I know a lot of people were disappointed. Although I do kind of question why, because really, it's like the basement was just a MacGuffin this entire time. Yes, I'm sorry. Wasn't that clear the entire time?
Yeah, pretty much was.
They fucking established that shit real quick and they forget about it. It's like the ultimate goal that they for some reason never go for until they finally decide to do. And then it's like, well, we found some information here. There's civilization outside the walls.
That's it.
Cool. Well, I thought to myself until I saw the fucking air balloon, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Seriously? All right. Sure. If that's where we're going to go. But
I think the biggest disappointment I had with like this whole reveal, all the reveals, in fact, wasn't executed very well. I didn't mind the whole MacGuffin deal, but I was more curious about like how the Titans were made, maybe the science behind it, the reason behind it, and I just didn't like those reasons. I was not a fan. What I'm especially not a fan of is now this whole special titans that there are, or like the reason of their existence, and the seemingly religious cult that this is, or the what do you call them? The descendants of the cultists, or whatever you want to call them. I don't like any of that, and it's become very. Like, it was kind of emo to begin with, at least with Eren, but now it seems like everyone's becoming emo.
I don't know, man. I love that scene at the fucking sea, where it's just like,
I hated
the sea! It's finally the sea! Yes, Eren, we find. I told you! At the end there was a sea, and it's just like, they're like, yeah, it's everything like I thought it would be. And at the other side of this sea, there are a bunch of enemies. When we kill all the enemies, will we finally be free?
It's fucking stupid.
That's it. My God, fuck it, Eren. Your midlife crisis came early.
I don't like it. I really don't. It's really kind of thrown me away to. I think it took away everything that made Attack on Titan feel special at the beginning, and what brought me back into it, because season 2 really kind of threw me for a loop. It was taking me out of the show, and then the first half I was like, cool, now we're getting somewhere. I like all the action scenes. It stepped up a notch. Seemed like we're getting some character development, and then it kind of shot itself in the foot with now everyone's just sad all the time.
Yeah, kind of. The thing for me is, like, I understand the author, because I think, like, I understand where it goes, because eventually, you know, we're talking about, you know, people who have been locked away forever, and it's like, we have been obviously led to believe that they are the remnants of Earth, and everybody else is dead. Obviously, that should be questioned, and I kind of like the idea that he decided to expand on that they're actually, it's been a lie, they're not the only ones. What I don't like is, you know, while I do understand that, you know, civilization isn't equal across everywhere, I don't like how far advanced the other side is.
I didn't like that
in comparison. Either. Yeah, that kind of feels a little bit dumb, especially considering the fact that they literally have fucking air balloons and shit like that. I'm surprised you haven't seen any, but I guess they just don't want to get anywhere close. But whatever, they do what they did what they did, but.
I don't like this hive mind network that's now a thing.
Yeah, me neither. But obviously, I am kind of glad that he did decide to expand it, because the other option is to keep the status quo, and in my opinion, the status quo has been already been used up. If this was still just about them maintaining the fucking wall, staying outside, making sure that the Titans didn't come in, and trying to stay safe, it wouldn't, like, that's already been done. That's not interesting.
No, yeah, you definitely have to expand the story.
Yeah.
What that story is we can't be the only ones thinking this way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that, but I don't know. I still, obviously, we're gonna get, like, what is it, season 4, the finale, or whatever the fuck. So I'm curious to see what that entails, although I very much expect this to, like, we're gonna we're gonna, like, fucking initiate a giant fight, and then people are probably gonna die, as they always do, and then, yeah.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah, we're not excited for the ending, and that's, I think, the main takeaway.
Yeah, but also, I just kind of find that's the thing with a lot of these stories. Like, the initial shock is cool, right? The giant titans, the scary things, you're not even safe in your own fucking home. You're not safe anywhere. And now it's like, they've taken away that, and they have to take away that, because they can't keep that.
No, I understand, but here's the thing. The execution in reveals has been disappointment after disappointment.
No, I agree.
It hasn't nailed any of it.
I agree. That's why it's
a
great story.
That's what creates a story and keeps you invested. And it's like, who's the Beast Titan? Who's this? Who's the Armored Titan? What's society like on the outside? Fail. What's in the basement? And you just go, oh, okay, yeah. That's a thing.
If I had
fail
to take
again.
a guess, If I had to take a guess, I would say that this is literally something like I don't think that this was ever like properly planned. I don't think this was intended from the very beginning. I think this is a case of just we're gonna have to make more. Like I just assumed it's like he had a rough idea for like these people trapped inside the walls being attacked by Titan, and obviously it keeps being popular. And it's like it has to make more. And it's like, okay, how do we expand on this story? Okay, we do like this. We still keep this like tiny fucking MacGuffin in the back there that can be interesting, but we're obviously eventually going to have to get to it. Well, now that you've built this up for so long, what's it going to be? It needs to be big. Well, what's big? Society outside. That's big. That's a big reveal, right? But it's like, it becomes
you just
this
look
like
at it in paper and you just go, yeah, that's big. Okay, now you got to build off the big thing.
Yeah,
and then the big thing is just as disappointing.
Yeah.
It's not. It's poor execution at its finest.
It's even undermined
like
right
WWE
after.
Raw.
It's undermined right after when it's like, oh, their memories are linked together, and now fucking Aaron has his dad's memory. So it's like,
oh my
literally,
god! When that happened,
never...
I literally went, fuck you. I hate that.
Oh yeah, no, because this has never been a part of the show ever, and now all of a sudden. Aaron has his dad's memories, and then we get to the flashback, and that other dude has Aaron's memories. And I'm like...
For no reason!
It's like, you need to protect Armin and Mikasa. Who?
Well, I don't know.
Who?
I said fuck you to that, too.
Whose memories are these? Oh, fuck off.
Yata, you did a good job not coming back to the show.
I saw the future.
That's a good on you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst. I still enjoy Attack on Titan to an extent, but it's not... Like, I think I gave the first season a 9, and it's dropped significantly since that.
I think I went like 9, 6, 7, and then what did I give it, a 5? I think I gave it a 5 this time.
I think I gave this one a 7 as well, but yeah, basically the same for me.
Season 3, part 2. Season 2 I gave... Yep. What did I give it? Yes, 6... No, 7. I gave it a 7. Ooh. Ooh, that was higher than I thought. And then
didn't try, don't care. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, again, Attack on Titan is one. It's one of those things where it's like what I would say about Attack on Titan is like, if you kept up with it, cool. If you didn't, there's no point.
There we go. Okay, yeah, I did give it a 5. I went 9, 7, 7, 5.
How dare you?
Ugh.
Are you not even a fanboy?
No, I'm not. Season 3, Part 2 has an aggregate score of 9.7. Oh,
Hickey, I just saw that, and I hate you. I just want you to know. I'm not going to comment on it any further than that. I just want you to know that I hate you.
I know you hate me. I also hate you. That was pre-established. You don't need to remind me.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
All right. Well, that was our large list of spring season 2019 reviews. A very normal, average season to disappointing, I would say.
What an amazing season.
You can't be disappointed with painfully normal. You can be just like...
Blah. That was it, right?
Yeah.
I'm
not disappointed. Like, there's nothing to be disappointed at.
I'm still glad that I called it. I called Fairy Gone was going to be terrible, and I'm glad.
Yeah, you could kind of tell, though.
Oh, yeah, that was the point.
Yeah. All right. So it seems Dororo and Isekai Quartet, Shield Hero for some of us, and Ultraman were the takeaways.
You know, a season's bad when a parody of a fucking overused subgenre is one of the best things to come out.
Summer save us all.
Well,
Okay. Well, with that, make my little note here, and I'll play a drop, and we can move on to our review. Hooray!
Woo!
Hey dude, you into anime, manga, and all that radical stuff? Then you should totally check out the Anime Radicals Network at www.animeradicals.com. If you want discussions, debates, reviews, and all in between, we also got timely reviews, revolutions, mecha, and much more. Find it on iTunes, Google Podcasts, and all podcast catchers. The Anime Radicals Network. The revolution will be simulcast.
Alrighty, Yata, since this is your brainchild, why don't you take this away?
Okay,
Why
so
don't you lead this?
Night in the Galactic Railroad. It's a movie from 1985, and it was from Studio Group Tac. It is an adaptation of the novel or novella of the same name, Night of the Galactic Railroad, by Kenji Misahara. And the reason I discovered this movie actually was through Mawaru Penguin Drum, the 2011 anime from Kumihiko Ikuhara. We reviewed Penguin Drum on the show previously, and we were doing Sarazenmai last season, so there was a lot of diving into the work of Ikuhara. And if you watch Penguin Drum and you've seen Night in the Galactic Railroad, the parallels are pretty stark. Like, it's very, very apparent that a lot of Penguin Drum cribs a lot from Night in the Galactic Railroad. So, having never seen the movie myself, and having read so much about Penguin Drum and how much it was influenced by Night in the Galactic Railroad, I went back and checked it out. I thought it was very, very interesting, considering it was a G movie. It wasn't what I was expecting at all. It didn't feel like a G movie, honestly. The pacing was incredibly slow. I can't imagine any child for the first 35 minutes just sitting there casually and calmly just watching what was going on. And if they stuck around for 35 minutes, I can't imagine they stuck around till the end, honestly.
But you just kind of summed up Kenji Miyazawa's career as an author. He makes children's novels and poems. He was incredibly not popular with children.
I don't know if it was my ADHD rattled brain or whatever, but I was having a hard time the first time through the first 35 minutes. After about 12 minutes, I kind of acknowledged to myself that this is a movie you would only watch once. It's not a rewatchable movie at all. I do rate it though. I think there's some really beautiful scenes in it, and I like the atmosphere of the movie. And it weirdly reminded me of Haibane Renmei. Actually, I kept on waiting for shit to happen. It was like weirdly ominous. You know?
That is interesting. Yeah, now that you said that. Especially I really wanted some shit to happen. Yes, I agree with you.
It was also, because the pacing was so slow, my mind was going a million miles an hour. Everything that happened, and there was some random shit that was coming up. I was trying to read into everything. I was like, oh, does this represent this? Maybe this represents that. What's the meaning of this? And the dialogue was quite sparse as well. Especially out of the Red Cat, Campanella. He was speaking in such weird kind of like vagaries that
He was speaking in riddles.
Yes, and like having obviously seen Penguin Drum before, I knew how the story ends. So it kind of cleared up a lot of his kind of weird speak, but a lot of for me, a lot of the movie was just like an Ikuhara piece. It was trying to figure out what the fuck was going on and how, like, what they were talking about. But for the most part, I enjoyed it. I gotta say, like, snail's pace aside, I thought the soundtrack was really interesting. I liked that ominous feel, and I liked how abstract it felt. It just baffles me that how this is supposed to be a kids movie. Like legitimately, that is like a philosophical riddle right there. I would love to meet the 10-year-old who sat down and just thought that was a shit, right? I would love to meet that child.
Dude, like I mean, I didn't have any problem with the pacing, actually. I thought it was fine. The first 30 minutes passed by. I didn't even notice that. But like, it had one of the most nihilistic endings of something. I was like, how is this a kids movie? Like, that thing was like, you're gonna die. You're gonna end up in a fucking coal sack. You're not going to heaven. I was like, holy shit.
Well, they're all
Why are you
cats,
saying
so they're
that
probably going to just end up in the side dumpster.
They're gonna end up.
They're like, oh, this is the true heaven. A coal sack? Holy shit, that is nihilistic as fuck.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want my child to be viewing that. I would end up after the Southern Cross, like, hey, everyone went to heaven. That's great.
Yeah, Christian heaven. I'll get off right here. All you Buddhists can keep going into that black hole of nothingness, but I'm going to stop right here in Christian heaven and sing some songs.
Yeah,
But see-
dude, hallelujah singing in the background. Great. The best ending. Like, it was so nihilistic.
Yep.
So nihilistic.
I think it's kind of interesting that you said that you thought the pacing was fine. Because one of the things with Night of the Galactic Railroad, and this was one of Miyazawa's kind of regrets, is he actually never finished Night on the Galactic Railroad. He wrote a beginning and he wrote an end, but it technically has no middle part. According to himself, he could never think of the middle part of the story. He didn't know how to connect the story. He had a beginning and an end, and nothing else. It has been rewritten since, but it's still technically not complete. So it is technically an unfinished story,
Very Kafka.
which I think is very interesting. As well as just generally, like, Night of the Galactic Railroad literally happened because Miyazawa decided to escape. He wanted to get away from everything because he had just lost his sisters just died, and he and his sister was very close. He wasn't very close with his family, but his sister and him were very close. And she'd grown sick and weaker over time, and she had eventually died. Which
Have we
he
gone
decided
over
to
the
take a trip.
summary of the show? Or the movie?
We have not.
I don't think we have. Like, we can do that first. I can get back to this later.
All right, let me just go over it. So I have the summary from Anime Planet, and then a summary I wrote, which is a little bit more, I think, more to it to get you a better idea. So Giovanni is a young cat with a troubled childhood. He's bullied in school, waits patiently day after day for his father to return from his journey.
It sounds so 70s
One
when you say it like that.
festive- yeah.
Sorry, he's a young cat.
He's a young,
He's like,
a young cat.
Gotta stress that he's
One
literally
festive
a cat.
evening.
He's literally a cat. He's not just a cool cat.
Yeah.
He's a cat, which is a weird choice as well.
Giovanni and his friend Campanella find themselves aboard a great train which takes them to the edge of the universe and back. However, in the midst of the sights and wonders, Giovanni soon begins to discover the train's purpose might be much different than it appears. Then what I wrote was, during the night in town, there is a star festival called the Centaurus Festival. However, due to our poor stricken main character Giovanni, must work and care for his family instead. He goes to get some milk at a dairy farm and falls asleep. A train appears and somehow he ends up boarding it. He is joined shortly thereafter by his only friend Campanella, who is wet for some reason. You begin to discover why. There, they both start a journey through the galaxy over the course of a single night, meeting strange beings, cats and humans alike, all of whom are there for interesting circumstances, why and how they came to be on the train. There you go. And there's always meanings to why. That's where Yata went into. There's always symbolism. There's underlying themes to it. I thought some were more obvious than others, which made it, to me, more interesting, because then it feels like you're putting the pieces together yourself. One of the major themes in particular is what is true happiness, I feel, is the focal point. Did any of you feel that way?
Yes.
Okay. So some other ones I wrote down was focus on, your self-worth, the life you live, is it kind of self-fulfilling in that way, and then friendship.
Yeah.
So it has a lot of good themes there, but yeah, like I just said, I don't know what child would go into this being like, yes, I am 10. What is true happiness?
Yeah.
Was that bit at that bit at the end when Giovanni resolves to be like the scorpion in the pit? So that's the author, Kenji Miyazawa. He has this like personal philosophy about life sacrificing itself to help other life continue on, and they frame this whole thing through this parable of this scorpion who falls in a pit, escaping from a weasel, and then has this existential moment where they realize they never contributed to life; they only took it away, and they were somehow like lacking. And at the end of the novel, at the end of the movie, Giovanni's like, I'm going to be the Scorpion. I'm going to sacrifice my life so other life can continue on. And it was such a weird message for like a child. The way they framed it.
Well,
like it was like, I think there's a lot of poetry there to it. But again, I'm thinking of that 5-year-old or that 10-year-old watching this movie. Yes, I will be the Scorpion. I won't run away from the weasel.
You God, you killed my friend.
But it makes perfect sense
shit.
because, like, again, Kenji Miyazawa, he was from a rich family, but he left it all behind to help out the poor farmers, and that is how he eventually died, alone on a farm with
Did he
no one.
Did he fall asleep in the middle of a field looking for dairy?
Probably not. But he did work himself to death, essentially. So, yeah.
Well,
He...
I've milked too many cows this morning.
He's kind of
Life
like... Oh,
is
no,
over.
he did way
story of
more
so
hard work
many-
than that.
That's the story of so many Japanese writers.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
it's basically the same story as half of the cast of Bungo Stray Dogs.
Yep. Bungo Stray Dogs. Kenji Miyazawa is in Bungo Stray Dogs. He is the little farmer boy. He's an eccentric character, and I like that because. But what I was going to say, what I started saying before we got into the synopsis was like I said, one of the things that sparked the story was Miyazawa's sister Toshi, who died back in 1922. Miyazawa, he obviously took this very hard, so he took a railroad trip to Sakhalin, which was the basis on the whole story, which is why, Night of the Galactic Railroad. Because he took a train trip, and he had a fucking moment of existential dread, apparently, on this train.
He had a trip on a train trip. That's basically the story.
Yep, essentially. But one thing especially that I like, because before watching this, I watched another movie called Ihatov Genso, Kenji no Haru, which is a kind of biographical movie on Kenji Miyazawa's life, which is based on his works and poems, including Night on the Galactic Railroad. So it kind of takes a similar approach to that. Every character's a cat. Kind of goes through a little bit of the stories that he did, especially, and it is also set in the world in which his stories are usually set in, Ihatov, and kind of tells the story of Kenji Miyazawa, which I thought was really interesting, especially comparing that with this movie, seeing kind of the similarities, like the parallels between Miyazawa's own life and Night on the Galactic Railroad. So, if you watch this, I would also highly recommend watching Ihatov Genso. It is an interesting movie.
What I took away from this was words I would use to describe this anime is methodical, abstract, and atmospheric. We've mentioned this before, but the first 30 minutes are abysmally slow. Like, I was falling asleep in it. And this is my second time through the movie, so you can only imagine. The movie's only 105 minutes, so it's a good chunk. But once you get on the train, that's when things get very, very interesting. And if you're into kind of more philosophical thinking, and asking yourselves these questions, trying to pick out, like an Ikuhara TV show, pick out the underlying themes and messages, then and enjoying the sights, more or less. I felt like this was a reverse Galaxy Express 3.9. That's how I took it. It's less about the characters and more about the presentation of what's happening and the visuals presented. That's what I took away from this movie.
And obviously, comes as no surprise, Galaxy Express 3.9 was also inspired by this.
The book, the novel.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. What about you, Yata?
Yeah, like I was kind of dumping on the fact that I thought it was inappropriate for kids, but for me, I actually legitimately enjoyed it. As I said, like the weirdly ominous feel, the music was excellent. I thought the acting was quite well done as well. There was a couple of moments with I don't know if you could even call it CG, but the opening shot was horrendous. Like the school shot. I remember the first time around, I was like, "Oh God, what have I got myself in for?" And then the cornfields later on, or the corn whatever the fuck that was. That was pretty.
Yeah, the cornfields looked awful.
But like
Welcome to the 80s.
it looked like a
so it had those like minor nitpicks, but overall I enjoyed it. I liked the fact that it was saying stuff. It felt like there was a lot of care put into it, or at least like what the materials that they were working on are quite interesting, And again, it did help to clear up a lot of like WTF moments from Moira Penguin Drum. So at least it has that, because I did really enjoy Moira Penguin Drum, and I'm a pretty big fan of Ikuhara in general. I think overall it was a very positive experience. There's a few issues with it. Would have been just the lack of rewatchability. Like, I honestly don't know how you watched it twice, JD. It feels like such a one-shot movie.
It was quite difficult. I did fall asleep once, so.
Am I the only one who didn't have problems with the first 30 minutes?
No, you're not. I didn't.
I was thinking of it.
Honestly,
yeah.
I thought it was really fun, and I was like laying on my bed and I didn't sleep. So
I felt like every scene was about 3 seconds
No,
too long. I think that's how it came across to me. So I remember when he went into work at one point, he's starting to gather these pieces to complete some task to like set a typeface. And I'm watching him just put like 1 in, 2 in, 3 in. Okay, we get it. We can move on now. No, he has 4, 5, 6, 7. There was always these moments where I felt like it just went on a couple of seconds too long, and it just slowed the whole thing down to a snail's pace for the first 35 minutes until the train arrives. And I think and there was a lot of like him just breathing and kind of reacting to things very, very slowly, sort of staring at things and coming back. And then it felt unnaturally slow.
Yeah, because they're cats, they don't have expressions at all. They don't make them, so everything's kind of deadpan in those moments as well.
Like, I didn't.
I think that's kind of the point, though.
I think it's the point on the train, but before that, you're supposed to be getting more than that.
Even still, remember, you have the teacher's explanation of the universe. The fucking universe is a pawn of milk. The fucking dumbest thing I've ever heard. But it makes sense. Right? But even fucking, even Giovanni is kind of just at the moment, it's like, we all know that these are stars. And I kind of, again, it's kind of, this type of kind of weird writing, in my opinion. Like, and it shows that part of why I said, like, this isn't really, why I don't think this is suitable for kids, which is shown in, which again is shown in Ihatov, because Kenji in Ihatov kind of tries to talk to these children that he's teaching. He wants them to read one of his books, and the constant complaint he always gets is, his words doesn't make sense. They don't understand what he's even trying to say. To which he's obviously going to be like, "Oh, well, let me tell you.
You don't get it. You're a kid."
That's kind. That.
Oh wait, it's for you.
It's not. It's like that. That's kind of the point. That's what I want you to. That's what I want you, because I can't explain this to you, because these are concepts that I don't even understand. No one understands. That's the point. You're not supposed to understand. What? And they're all just like, that's lame.
If you read my books, I know you're fine. But if you read my books and you understand, the work of Jean-Paul Sartre will make a lot of sense for you. Sure. Okay. All right.
Get the inner workings of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. No problem, yeah?
Yeah.
Nah, but I do think he has a bit of a case with that. Like, he wants to explore something so much greater than him that he doesn't even understand how to go about it, and that's what he writes stories about. Let me write a story about me not understanding.
If I make it so complicated and I don't understand, then the wide audience will then
not understand.
Will then not understand and be amazed on not understanding.
But someone in the audience might understand it. And explain it to him.
I mean, yeah, you know what? That wouldn't even surprise me. If he's just like, please, someone explain this to me.
That's probably why Ikuhara like him that much.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like
a lot of people like him. Again, Kenji Misawa is one of those authors who was unfortunate enough to be very unpopular up until after his death. Around the 90s was when he kind of got popular as an author, and now he has a museum dedicated to him. But, so it's always nice. So in that regard, his dad was actually correct, because his dad said he would never be able to become an author and live off of it. And he was right. He didn't.
Always listen to your father. Now, like, I have a few problems with the production. But I guess that was about it when I was watching. I think I even pointed that out in our group. For the time it was made, there's a lot of cell problems and imperfections. It's not uncommon to see like dust and a few scraps and sometimes even hair between the cells. But this one is constant, and they're big. Like they're big imperfections. Also, whoever did the key animation didn't have a lot of spatial awareness, so that causes that effect of characters looking at nothing. It's not that they're not looking at anything, it's just that how the camera is set and how the character is drawn, it looks like they are looking at a different direction.
Yeah, and you can't really reference like what they're looking at.
Yes, that's because whoever made the cells, they didn't have a lot of spatial awareness in a 2D environment. But it's fine. The problem is, I think it was the director probably, because it goes through every single key animation, key frame in the movie. But I guess that it's about it. I know there's a lot of people with OCD that doesn't watch old anime because of the cells imperfections. This one has a lot, so if you are one of those people, just stay away.
Just read the novel.
Might be in my opinion, it is worth to see it through it even with those imperfections, especially because, like we said, you won't watch it again. So it's definitely worth it.
There is a lot of people, or this part of the staff that went on to promising careers in the anime industry. I wrote one of them down in particular, Koichi Mashimo. He founded Studio B Train, the .Hexine studio, for reference. He wasn't the only one. There was about like 7 others that went on to be directors or even studio founders. Mashimo wasn't the only one. So there was a large, successful staff behind this anime, which begs the question, what happened in a lot of areas, or was there like first experiences? I didn't go that far deep into exploration, but I did find that interesting.
Also, it's probably a bit of a mix of things, but yeah, it's, you find stuff like that though. Like going back, I do think this was a lot of catalyst for a lot of people, right? It was like, okay, we're doing this. We're adapting Night on the Galactic Railroad. Don't fuck this up. And I'm like, sure. And then they got it back and like, what the fuck is this?
I bet that's what Studio Gonzo asked themselves with 7 Seeds.
What the fuck is this? How are we going to air it?
200 chapters? Yeah. All right, how can we do half in 12 episodes?
All right, people, we're doing a kids movie. Oh, that should be fine. That should be easy. What the fuck?
It's Night on the Galactic Railroad.
Who's this guy trying to talk? Oh, I really need you to read the fucking novel. Now that you said he only wrote the beginning and the ending,
I mean,
I want to see how it looks like in written form.
The novel you would get a hold of is not his. There are 4 novels made titled Night on the Galactic Railroad. They're all remade. The original novel, as far as I know, is lost.
Lost?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. That's so sad.
All right. Yata, any final thoughts you want to get out? And then I think we should all give scores.
Yeah, that's actually, I was just thinking about the scoring this. And I think that's really, I think when you do give it a scoring, you kind of have to score it in 2 ways. You got to score it as a piece in itself and score it in the context that it's a kid's movie. Because I think as a kid's movie, it's a complete failure. But...
well, shit, 2 out of 10.
Honestly, it's like
that was a horrible kids movie.
As a kids movie, it's a failure completely.
There's cats and then there's people that died in the fucking Titanic. What the fuck? It was one of the worst kids anime I've ever watched.
Hey, one of my favorite movies as a kid was Land Before Time. The mother dies in the first 4 minutes.
Well, that's classic. That's a classic old school anime right there. You got Bambi's mom getting off.
Got eaten by a T-Rex.
That's fine. It happens. Didn't that happen to your pet?
But
when I was a kid, I really liked Titanic, so I guess I'll give it a 4. I raised 2 because of Titanic. That's about it.
But in saying that, if you take so as a kids movie, it's a complete failure. But as a work in itself, I thought it was pretty solid. I would say like a strong 7 is where I would probably fall on it. There was some scenes that I really, really enjoyed. And overall, the experience was a pleasant one. Pacing issues aside. I actually, the entrance scene for the Titanic people, I thought that was really, really cool. I liked the Scorpion Parable. The CG was, it was rough, but you know, it's like 1985, right? Like, what are you expecting? Nothing better than this, really. The animation issues were there, but the experience was definitely more pleasant than unpleasant. And like I can see the quality of the writing there and the source material, even missing third aside. I feel comfortable recommending this to other people and people who are interested in
just not
kids. No, actually, yeah, like, anyone who's probably under 25, I think it might be too much for them, really, because it's sobering. And it's depressing, and it is quite nihilistic at the end there.
Wow.
I guess that
not recommended to me.
If you're under 25 and you already have nihilistic.
I kind of wonder if they chose cats just for the 9 lives thing. Where it's like, okay, it's really bleak ending, but don't worry, he's got 8 more. It's fine. It's fine. Campinella's still alive.
Whoa. What about the real people that died at a fucking?
Oh, they're all singing fine. "Nearer My God to Be" in Christian heaven. They're totally fine. It's all the heathens that's the problem, right?
I get. You know what? That is true.
They're all marching towards the cross.
I'll give you that.
Good times if you're a Christian.
Like that part was so when they entered, because I don't know, the character design is a little bit off as well. I was like, why there are people in the train? What the fuck is going on? I started panicking. I'm gonna lie. I was like, what? What is
actually
happening
there was a great moment when they first got on the train. It was a real Neon Genesis moment in the elevator when nothing happens. Giovanni looks at Campanella and then he holds the gaze for about 12 to 15 seconds, looks at the girl for about 15 seconds, looks back at Campanella, who's looking at the girl. And then it cuts back to the girl again, and it was like about a minute. It's like, that's the pacing issues there in 1 minute. Holy fuck. They're just looking at each other. Campanella kind of got creepy at certain points. I was kind of waiting for him to do something destructive. Because he just had that kind of vibe to him.
I was... Honestly, like, before scoring, I was actually expecting to see the father in the train, right?
Could you...
Because, like, they're like,
imagine?
he's not, giving any news about what he's doing. He should be back. He isn't. I was like, since we're going to heaven, and there's a reason why. There must be a reason why Giovanni is in the train. It's not only Campanella. It's not only because of Campanella. Probably because they say, you got a third dimension ticket, and that's really rare. His father died, and he's gonna just find his dad in the train or at the true heaven.
Yeah, you could
right.
Yeah, you could rewrite the ending. I guess when Campanella's father is talking to Giovanni, and he's like, "Oh, your dad sent me a letter a few days ago, but he's not here yet." And he kind of turns to him slowly and says, "Maybe his train is delayed," and kind of just looks at him knowingly. It just kind of ends.
You couldn't do that though.
I like that the Campanella's father is like, my father.
Yeah, it's like it's 45 minutes. It's 45 minutes. Give up.
Please.
He's done.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out.
Bring your friends to my house tomorrow, all right? Thank you. And I was like, oh, damn. That's some strong man.
Strong side right there.
Or cat, I guess, in this case.
I mean, he couldn't do that, though, because it's too closely tied to his own life, and his own father was alive. He just doesn't have contact with him, which is why he's never there. It's the same thing, right? They talk about Giovanni's sister, who you never see.
And the mother, same.
Because she's dead. Yeah, because she's dead. She's not there. She's dead.
Who made the soup?
Ghosts.
That's a good question. That is a very good question. But that is remember, like the thing is, it is too closely tied. They're not explained. It's not like you know it, but it is because it is still tied to his own life in a way. But yeah.
So like instead of killing Giovanni's sister, he killed his best friend.
Yeah.
So you have right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know. There are definitely parts of me that do feel that like it is lacking a little bit of explanation, like a little bit that, like it said, the middle part that doesn't really. I do feel like there are things there that could have been not necessarily established better, because I do like the mystery of it all, but I do feel like there are things that you kind of look at in this and you kind of see, like, if you read up on Keiji Miyazawa's life and you start to learn a little bit about him, you see, oh, okay, so that's why he did that. That makes sense. That's a parallel to his own life. And then, but then, you know, if you don't do that, you're kind of sitting there and you go like, what's that? Who?
Why?
Why is he getting bullied? Why does nobody like? Why is everybody get on his back about this goddamn otter skin? Does it really matter that much? Yes, he's from a rich family. You just don't know that.
Why is the teacher suddenly an archaeologist?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't know. Thankfully, I'm not a kid. Therefore, I don't have to take kids into consideration. I like this movie, and I give it a 7.
Hickey, what score did you give it?
I think I'll go with it, guys. I think I'll give it a 7 as well.
Oh no.
JD2 hated it.
JD has a fucking 10 again.
No, we all gave it a 7. All 4 of us.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
I mean,
We all have I think we all have the
in,
exact same similar thoughts.
God damn it.
we need to take in consideration. Also, why Giovanni was in the fucking cabin in the cornfield? I don't understand that. Like, he's like, oh, I know that guy. Like, oh,
It's you.
It's you in a cornfield looking at you in a train. Like, anyway, like, you need to take in consideration the cell problems. A few of moments where the characters just stare at nothing by seconds and seconds. It's not rewatchable, but it's still very, very interesting, very, very good. Unfortunately, also one thing that I think it's a bad for this is that the original novel does not exist anymore. Everything is a remake, but still you can go and read the novels, just like Anne of Green Gables, and yeah, it's very, very interesting. Not interesting enough or not well made enough to go past a 7, especially because it was a kids movie and failed horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, really like the nihilistic take at the end, with the true having being just a cold set. Because when we die, there's nothing after that, just the void, and
the dark
your
sphincter
body
of the void.
becomes just organic masses that will become one day coal.
And then you can always ponder,
By the way,
how would this have been different if it had been finished?
By the way, have you ever Googled an otter skin jacket? I just can't.
Well, I am
cannot
now.
imagine Giovanni strutting around in one of those. It's very lavish.
Otter
God damn it.
jacket. Okay.
It looks like a pink
Whoa.
jacket. doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the men's natural otter fur jacket for $800 used.
Nice.
It looks pretty awesome,
I
actually.
just can't imagine
I
Giovanni
don't think I'd
strutting
pay
around like that.
$800.
Just like bitch slapping everyone and with his sunglasses.
That's why everyone is bullying Giovanni.
Appraised
Because once he
value
get
for
the
a
fucking
standard otter
skin-
fur jacket is $4,200.
Oh, his dad is definitely a criminal.
I found an otter in a rain jacket. That's all I need.
Hot damn.
Now I gotta find that. Oh god.
Wow. Otter fur jackets are expensive, boys.
Yeah, shocking.
Shocking. Okay. So we all gave it a 7. Not really a rewatchable anime. Interesting themes. Very slow pacing at the start that at least half of us feel is abysmal.
Recognized by Japan's Board of Education.
Right, it's the first one to have like recognized by the Japanese Ministry of Education. Is like, whoa, wow,
There you go.
that is something.
All right. Well, this was episode 53. Yata, do your last plugs here, and we'll get out of here.
Reanimator Pod, ReanimatorPod.com. Check out the podcast if you're so inclined. If not, you can subscribe on YouTube and give me one more subscriber, please. It was a pleasure being on here, guys. It was a lot of fun. Thank you very much for the invitation.
No problem. Happy to have you. I believe you were the last person from the Anime Radicals to join us as a guest
I'm
on
going to
this
say you
podcast.
saved the best for last. There we go.
Obviously. The most international of them all. All right. This was Red Leaf Retrocast. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Goodbye.